Chapter 910. Chapter 909, Lin Yi's final decision. Ma Zhu, aren't we thinking the same thing? Qibing smiled helplessly. Both of my skyscrapers were destroyed by Lin Yi, and even my legs were broken by Lin Yi. Don't I want him dead? I want him dead too. But I know that I can't kill him with my current strength. I can only wait for my father to send a master, or for Lin Yi's other enemies to kill him. Ma Zhu nodded, knowing that Qibing was telling the truth. Does Lin Yi have any enemies recently? At a time like this, shouldn't we let his enemies do it? Qibing turned to Cihua and asked. Other than Jiang Wen, there's only Zhong Pingliang left. Cihua said helplessly. I only know of these two, but Jiang Wen has been quiet lately, and Zhong Pingliang is with you, Master Bing. None of them are a match for Lin Yi. Oh right, when Xiao Ji from the Xiao family came to visit me a few days ago, he seemed to have asked about Pingzhan and the masters around him. Oh. Then did you receive them? Did you tell him about Pingzhan? Qibing asked. The Xiao family never had any grudges with us, and our relationship was quite good. I heard that they were about to be kicked out of the noble house list by House Yu, but a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. The Xiao family is still useful, so I didn't neglect them. Cihua said. As for Pingzhan, of course I told him. From his tone, it was obvious that he had a grudge against Pingzhan, so I told Xiao Ji about the two masters around Pingzhan. But when Xiao Ji heard that Lin Yi was a mystic early phase, he hesitated and didn't say anything else. Oh. How about this, you find a few hooligans to test Lin Yi and see if he still has the strength. If he really doesn't have the strength, we'll spread the news. Qibing thought about it. I don't believe that Lin Yi and Pengzhan don't have any other enemies other than us. It seems like the Xiao family wants to deal with them as well. We just have to sit back and enjoy the fruits of their labor. Yes. Cihua nodded and left. After leaving the villa, Lin Yi drove to Pengzhan department store. He needed to make some preparations before his date with Tang Yun. Lin Yi didn't hide from the people around the mansion. Lin Yi roughly guessed that they were sent by Zhao Qibing. After Zhening Jun and Ma Zhu were injured, they would definitely go to Zhao Yaowang for treatment. It was normal for Zhao Qibing to send people to spy on him. So, the more Lin Yi didn't care about them and acted as if nothing happened, the more he could confuse people and make them think that Lin Yi had recovered all his strength. However, Lin Yi didn't think about Faubert. He neglected the fact that Zhao Qibing had even spied on Faubert. But, even if Lin Yi knew about it, he wouldn't be able to do anything about it. He'd only healed the external wounds on his body, and the internal injuries in his meridians hadn't healed at all. There was no way he could treat Uncle Fu. Lin Yi drove to Pingzhan department store openly to make people think that he wasn't injured. Lin Yi had to hide this news as much as possible before Pingzhan found a useful master. Lin Yi wanted to leave tomorrow, but Zhening Juan's problem wasn't completely solved yet. If Pingzhan didn't find a substitute bodyguard, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to leave peacefully. So, Lin Yi could only hold on and be careful to keep a low profile so that others wouldn't be able to use it against him. However, what Lin Yi didn't expect was that Yaowang had already guessed his true strength and was secretly launching a test plan. Lin Yi parked his car in the underground parking lot of Pingzhan department store and asked the security guard before coming to the jewelry area on the first floor of Pingzhan department store. Hello sir, would you like to choose jewelry? Lin Yi just arrived in front of a counter called Lu Weishan Jewelry Store, and a shopping guide walked over and asked enthusiastically. Yes. Lin Yi nodded. He didn't expect this jewelry store to have such good service. Lin Yi wanted to look around casually, but Lin Yi decided to buy here. In fact, in Pengzhan department store, every jewelry store's goods were similar. The main difference was the service. Sir, what do you want to choose? Use it yourself or give it to a friend? The shopping guide asked. I want to buy a ring for my girlfriend, Lin Yi said. Ring? Girlfriend? The shopping guide nodded. Is it a normal gift or a proposal ring? A proposal ring. Lin Yi sighed slightly. She was the first girl who confirmed a relationship with him. Before leaving, Lin Yi made a decision. Here, sir. Look, these are all wedding rings. What price range do you want? We have rings from thousands to tens of thousands. The shopping guide pointed at a ring in the counter. Just this one. How much is it? Lin Yi wasn't good at jewelry, and he didn't know how to choose. He chose a ring that looked like a diamond because Lin Yi heard that the bigger the diamond, the better the diamond. This one. The salesgirl jumped. Lin Yi had his eyes on the treasure of the store, after all. Her heart jumped. If she sold it, how much commission would she get? She just came to work 2 days ago. If she could really make this deal, it would be a big profit. What's wrong? Lin Yi saw the shopping guide hesitating, so he asked. It's nothing. The shopping guide shook her head and said, this ring is the treasure of our store. It's locked in the counter. Please wait a moment. I'll call the manager and ask him to open it for you. Okay. Lin Yi nodded. When the shopping guide just wanted to make a phone call, a shopping guide from a store called Yunguangdu Jewelry looked at the shopping guide in front of Lin Yi with some sarcasm. You first ask him if he can buy it before you make a phone call. You call all day long. Just the phone bill is a waste. Lin Yi frowned. He thought, I'm buying jewelry. What does it have to do with her? Is she jealous because I didn't buy it from her store? However, Lin Yi didn't want to cause trouble at the moment. He also suppressed his anger and didn't say anything. I'm sorry, sir. Please ignore her. The shopping guide smiled at Lin Yi with a little embarrassment and then continued to call. Chapter 9:11. Something important to tell you. In fact, this Yunguangdo jewelry saleswoman could tell that Lin Yi wanted to buy it, but she didn't think that Lin Yi could afford it. She just wanted to ruin his business. It's nothing, I'll buy this one. Call the manager to take it out. I don't need to look at it, just take me to the card. Lin Yi was a bit annoyed, but he was too lazy to argue with her. He was now walking around with the principle of being low-key. Ah. Just like that. The saleswoman was shocked. She didn't think that Lin Yi would buy it without even looking at it. She couldn't help but be stunned. Buying such an expensive thing without looking at it carefully. But when she saw the diamond card Lin Yi took out, she immediately understood that Lin Yi had the ability to do so. She secretly rejoiced in her heart. Good people will be rewarded. Her principle of serving passionately was not wrong. And the saleswoman from Yunguangdo Jewelry was a bit dumbfounded. Those who could take out this kind of diamond VIP card were big clients of the company. These people all had the ability to talk to the higher-ups. Thinking of her sharp words just now, if Lin Yi told the higher-ups of the mall, not only would she lose her job, but even her boss's brand would be removed from the mall. Thinking of this, the saleswoman's face immediately changed. She wanted to say a few words to Lin Yi, but Lin Yi had already turned around to swipe the card. In fact, Lin Yi didn't want to argue with this saleswoman at all. With the 300,000 yuan ring, Lin Yi drove in the direction of the hospital. Tang Yun's house hadn't been renovated yet, so she was still living in the hospital. Lin Yi called Tang Yun and asked her to wait for him at the entrance of the hospital. When Lin Yi arrived at the hospital, Tang Yun had already come out and stood at the entrance. The breeze gently blew her hair and skirt. Under the sunset, she looked like a silhouette of a beautiful girl, just like the first time Lin Yi saw her. Who? Lin Yi took a deep breath. He had made up his mind, but Lin Yi didn't know Tang Yun's decision yet. However, no matter what Tang Yun chose, Lin Yi would support her. Yun Yun. Lin Yi opened the window and called Tang Yun. Tang Yun seemed to be in good spirits. She turned around and saw Lin Yi. She couldn't help but smile sweetly. She quickly ran over and opened the door. This feeling is so good. I even thought that the previous 3 days were just a dream. You didn't seem to be injured. Ah. Lin Yi heard Tang Yun's words and couldn't help but smile bitterly. He didn't know how to respond to Tang Yun. He didn't know what to say. What's wrong? Tang Yun saw that Lin Yi's smile seemed to be a bit strange and asked curiously. Nothing. Let's find a place to eat first. What do you want to eat? Lin Yi changed the topic. Okay. Tang Yun nodded. You just recovered from a serious illness. Of course, you can eat whatever you want. My mom wanted to barbecue for you, but it can't be done in the hospital. Maybe after the new house is renovated? After the new house was renovated? Where would he be at that time? He would probably be back in his hometown. Then let's have a starry night. Lin Yi hadn't brought Tang Yun to such a high-class hotel before. It wasn't that Lin Yi couldn't afford it. It was that Lin Yi wasn't a person who cared about extravagance. He wasn't very interested in these high-class hotels. But today, it was his and Tang Yun's last dinner. It was a farewell dinner. Lin Yi wanted to eat solemnly. Even if Tang Yun didn't agree with his decision, it would still be a beautiful memory for him. Seeing Lin Yi drive the car into the parking lot of the Starry Night Hotel, Tang Yun was a bit surprised. This place is very expensive, right? Why are we here all of a sudden? It's just the two of us, we can just eat something simple. Didn't you say that I just recovered from a serious illness? Then let's come here to celebrate. Lin Yi said. If that's the case, okay. Tang Yun was a bit distressed. She wasn't a greedy and vain girl. Her personality was completely different from her mother. From Tang Yun's perspective, even if you were poor, you had to have a backbone. Lin Yi asked for a small private room. Because it was an ordinary private room, he didn't need to make a reservation in advance. The best hotels Tang Yun had been to were the Pengzhan Business Hotel and the Starlight Hotel that Miss had treated them to. Lin Yi passed the menu to Tang Yun. Tang Yun flipped through the menu and was shocked. The dishes inside were really expensive. The price of an ordinary dish was enough to eat a meal outside. Tang Yun really didn't dare to order it. She hesitated for a bit and returned the menu to Lin Yi. You can order it. Ha. Lin Yi knew what Tang Yun was thinking. He casually ordered a few dishes and sent the waiter out. He came here mainly to have a showdown with Tang Yun, not to eat. Waste of money. Tang Yun looked at Lin Yi and pouted. Although she knew that Lin Yi could earn money, she didn't like to waste it. Money could be spent in the right place, but a meal like this didn't necessarily taste good. Tang Yun's heart ached when she spent a lot of money. Ha, I'm not married yet and you're already controlling me. Lin Yi laughed. How about it? Do you want to be controlled? Tang Yun's beautiful eyes widened as she looked at Lin Yi. Ha, okay, as long as you are willing to control me. When Lin Yi said this, although he was smiling, it was a little sad. Only if you don't want me. Tang Yun heard Lin Yi's reply and was a little proud. I'm afraid that you don't want me. Lin Yi's expression became serious as he said solemnly. Tang Yun froze and looked at Lin Yi in surprise. Although Lin Yi's words were a joke, Lin Yi's expression made Tang Yun confused. Why are you so serious? Lin Yi just wanted to answer, but there was a knock on the door and the waiter began to serve the dishes. The dishes Lin Yi ordered were all simple stir-fried dishes, nothing complicated. It didn't take long for everything to be served. This was also Lin Yi's intention. The goal was to prevent the waiters from interrupting him and Tang Yun's conversation. Tang Yun, I asked you out this time because I have something very important to tell you. Lin Yi waited for the waiter to leave and said. Chapter 9:12. I do. Tang Yun was a little perturbed. Could it be that Lin Yi didn't want her anymore? His relationship with Meng Yao and Yushu was getting better and better, and she couldn't compare to them at all. It was possible that Lin Yi asked her out to break up with her. Plus, it was the first time Lin Yi asked her out to eat at such a high-class restaurant. This made Tang Yun's heart beat faster and faster. Yun, actually, my injuries aren't completely healed. Lin Yi decided to make it short. He didn't need any foreshadowing. Tang Yun knew about his injuries from Meng Yao and Yushu, so Lin Yi only needed to get to the point. Although my external injuries are healed, my strength is gone. Ah? Would that be a big deal? Will it be dangerous? Tang Yun was shocked and asked subconsciously. She didn't expect that Lin Yi wanted to talk to her about this. Although, it wasn't that Lin Yi wanted to dump her, but the fact that Lin Yi was talking about his injuries in such a serious manner meant that it must be very serious. So Tang Yun was very worried. It won't be dangerous because of my injuries, but if my enemies know that I've lost my strength, I'm afraid that I'll be in danger. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Ah, then why are you telling me? You shouldn't tell anyone. Tang Yun was shocked, but I won't tell anyone. I'll keep your secret. Ha. Yun, you misunderstand. Lin Yi smiled. Seeing Tang Yun's nervous reaction calmed him down a lot. Tang Yun cared about him. Misunderstand. Tang Yun paused. Yes, I'm telling you this because I've already resigned from Meng Yao. I won't be their bodyguard anymore. Lin Yi said. Tang Yun heard Lin Yi's words and was slightly surprised, but she was happy. Although Lin Yi had lost his strength, he had left Meng Yao and Yushu. Wasn't this what she wanted to see? Where will you live in the future? Tang Yun's face reddened. Why don't you move in after my new house is renovated? Ha! Lin Yi looked at the shy Tang Yun and his heart skipped a beat. It wasn't easy for the conservative Tang Yun to say something like this. However, Lin Yi could only shake his head. I've said it before. If I don't recover my strength, my enemies might come looking for me. I can't drag you guys down with me, then you mean? Tang Yun suddenly felt uneasy, as if something big was about to happen. The joy of Lin Yi not being Meng Yao's bodyguard vanished in an instant. I'm leaving Songshan, going back to my hometown. Lin Yi was a little sad when he said this, but he still had to say it. The music ends and the people leave. This was the law. You don't want me anymore. You really don't want me anymore. Tang Yun felt as if her heart was hit by a hammer. It hurt so much. Although she had thought about what would happen if Lin Yi didn't want her anymore, she didn't think that this day would come so soon. It's not that I don't want you anymore. It's that you don't want me anymore. Lin Yi was shocked by Tang Yun's reaction. In his memory, Tang Yun was a strong person. I don't want you anymore. Why wouldn't I want you anymore? Tang Yun wanted to cry. She didn't understand what Lin Yi meant and thought that he was making excuses. I don't have my strength anymore. I won't be as famous as I am now. I'll be very poor. Do you still want me? Lin Yi could basically confirm Tang Yun's feelings. It seemed that he didn't buy the ring for nothing. However, there were some things that needed to be said clearly. Lin Yi, I'm going to bite you to death. Tang Yun was panicking. She stared at Lin Yi with her big teary eyes. In your eyes, Am I someone who despises the poor and loves the rich? Am I that bad? That's my mother, not me. Tang Yun was a little angry. He actually used her mother as a comparison. But Mrs. Tang did make Tang Yun worry a lot. Aw. Lin Yi sighed. He had to tell Tang Yun the worst possibility. After all, Tang Yun was a girl from the big city. He didn't know if she could handle the boredom in the village. It's very remote. There are no tall buildings there. It's not as prosperous as the city. There aren't even cars. A lot of people don't have telephones. They communicate with each other by shouting. The houses are very old. There's no heating in the winter. We have to burn our own firewood. There's no modern washroom. There's only public washroom. You're a girl. Can you endure all this? Of course I can. Don't forget that my family used to live in a bungalow in the slums. We also have to burn our own firewood in the winter. There's no independent washroom. It's also a public washroom. What you said is perfect for me. It's like it's tailor-made for me. Tang Yun was so excited that her words became incoherent. She finally found a sense of superiority over Miss. Ha! But, if I can't recover my strength in this lifetime, you'll have to stay with me in the village for the rest of your life. Are you really willing? Lin Yi heard Tang Yun's words. He was very touched. I'm willing. Tang Yun nodded firmly. She didn't care if Lin Yi had strength or not. She didn't care if Lin Yi had money or not. She only cared about Lin Yi as a person. Okay, then I'll go back first. You can finish high school or university here. Then you can come find me. Consider it as giving yourself some time to calm down. I hope you're not impulsive, Lin Yi said rationally. I'm not impulsive, Tang Yun shook her head. Tang Yun shook her head, I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart. But I do need to settle my parents down. I'm marrying into a rural area. I need to comfort them. But, are you just brushing me off? You don't want me anymore, do you? Tang Yun gradually regained her calmness. She looked at Lin Yi. She wanted to see if he was lying to her. He wanted to comfort her first and then leave. Ha! Lin Yi suddenly took out a small box and put it in front of Tang Yun. No, I've thought about it for a long time before I said this to you. This is for you. Tang Yun paused. But she couldn't suppress the excitement in her heart. Although she hadn't opened the box yet, she had seen similar scenes in dramas. Could it be a wedding ring? Chapter 9:13. Was it a coincidence or a plan? It's so beautiful. Tang Yun looked at the huge diamond on the ring in surprise. She couldn't contain her joy. Aren't you going to say something? Ha! Lin Yi took out the diamond ring and looked at Tang Yun. Are you really willing to come find me? I'm willing. Tang Yun nodded shyly. At this moment, she was like a bride who was about to enter the hall of marriage. Lin Yi put the ring on Tang Yun's finger and felt relieved. Although he lost his strength, he didn't know how his old man would react when he brought home a wife. Although this meal was a little sad, the atmosphere was very warm. Lin Yi was leaving, but Tang Yun wasn't disappointed. Because in the near future, she would be leaving with him. After the meal, Tang Yun put the ring back into the box before leaving the room. Why aren't you wearing it? Are you regretting? Lin Yi joked. Only an idiot would regret. I'm afraid that people will steal it. Now that you don't have any strength, I need to keep a low profile. I don't want to cause any unnecessary trouble. Tang Yun rolled her eyes at Lin Yi and carefully put the ring away. Ha! Lin Yi thought to himself. What an understanding girl. It would be nice to marry a girl like this, right? Lin Yi paid the bill and left the room with Tang Yun. What he didn't know was that Sihua's people had already made arrangements in the parking lot of Starlight Hotel. Mr. Yang, thank you for your help. Sihua nodded to the manager of Starlight Hotel. How can I not do my best when it's Master Bing's arrangement? Mr. Yang smiled at Sihua. It's not a big deal, it's nothing. Sihua nodded. All right, Mr. Yang, you can go. There's nothing for you to do here. It's not good for you to be here. All right, I'll be on my way then. I hope Sihua bro doesn't cause too much of a commotion and affect the shop's business. Mr. Yang said. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Sihua nodded. After Mr. Yang left, Sihua got into a Buick MPV on the right side of the parking lot. The windows were covered with black film, so no one could see what was going on inside. In the parking lot, another white Nissan van was also ready. It was a very old and worn-out Nissan van. If one looked closely, they would find that it was actually an assembled car. This kind of car was also very popular with some gangsters. This kind of car was cheap and could carry people. It was the most suitable car for fighting and chopping people. When the police came, they didn't even want the car. They just left it behind and ran, because the cost of a car was only a few thousand yuan. Lin Yi and Tang Yun came to the parking lot and got in the car. Lin Yi was about to start the car when the Jade sent a weak warning signal. Lin Yi and Tang Yun came to the parking lot and got into the car. Just when Lin Yi was about to start the car, the Jade sent a weak warning signal. Lin Yi was about to take a closer look when a white Nissan van stopped behind his car without any warning, completely blocking off his path to reverse. Lin Yi's car was parked in the parking lot. There were cars in front and on both sides, so he could only reverse out from the back. Lin Yi frowned. Why did this person park his car there? Was he doing it on purpose? Lin Yi honked twice to signal that he wanted to leave, but the Nissan van behind ignored him, as if it didn't hear Lin Yi's honk. Without a choice, Lin Yi got out of the car and went to the driver's side of the white Nissan van. He looked inside and saw a bald man wearing sunglasses smoking leisurely. He didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. Even when Lin Yi walked over, he didn't look at him. The warning from the Jade made Lin Yi subconsciously alert. How could it be so coincidental? It made Lin Yi feel that something was wrong. Logically speaking, the people who came here to eat were people of high status. Even if these gangsters were overbearing, they wouldn't cause trouble for no reason. Could it be that these people were plotting something? However, Lin Yi didn't have any strength now. He didn't want to expose his weakness, so he could only endure his anger and knock on the white Nissan van's window. What the fuck? The bald man opened the window and blew a mouthful of smoke on Lin Yi's face. I want to go out. Can you please move the car? Lin Yi had a feeling of being bullied by a dog. In fact, even if Lin Yi lost his strength, there were many ways to kill these ordinary people. In many cases, assassins didn't rely on their own strength to kill people, but on their skills. But in public, Lin Yi couldn't kill these gangsters because of this, right? It would also be difficult for Lin Yi to get away. Go out. Go out for what? I'm waiting for people. The bald man turned a deaf ear to Lin Yi's politeness and directly refused. You wait for people, but I want to leave. Lin Yi didn't expect that he didn't want to cause trouble, but trouble came to the door. I'm waiting. Can't you wait for a while too? The bald man waved his hand impatiently. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and get out of here. Lin Yi frowned. There was a trace of ruthlessness in his eyes. He said, Isn't it wrong for you to do this? I don't want to cause trouble, but don't force me. Lin Yi wasn't a cowardly person. What would people think of him if he were to hold back and let them do what they'd think? The first thing they would suspect would be that Lin Yi had lost his strength. Otherwise, why would Lin Yi retreat? Therefore, Lin Yi couldn't endure it. He could only catch up. No matter how weak he was, he had to pretend. At this moment, Lin Yi suddenly realized how painful it was for someone who didn't have the strength to put on a show. What did you say? We're not leaving yet. After the bald man heard Lin Yi's words, he also became ruthless. He directly pulled out the car key and got out of the car. Following the bald man, 4 or 5 people who looked like gangsters got out of the van. I'll say it again. I don't want to cause trouble today. Don't force me. Lin Yi said faintly. I'm forcing you. What can you do about it? The bald man didn't seem to care about Lin Yi's threat at all. He locked the car and turned around to leave with his people. Lin Yi moved. He moved like lightning and grabbed the back of the bald man's neck. With these fighting skills, Lin Yi could also put them down. Chapter 9:14. Her heart. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat as he felt that something wasn't right. The Baldy's skills weren't ordinary. How could he be an ordinary hooligan? Even though Lin Yi's strength was almost depleted and the injuries in his body hadn't healed yet, his speed and agility weren't as good as before. It was still more than enough to deal with ordinary people. However, Lin Yi's attack didn't even hit the target. What did this mean? Either Lin Yi was weaker than an ordinary person, or the Baldy wasn't an ordinary person. Lin Yi knew his own condition very well, so the latter was the only possibility. The Baldy was also a master. Of course, this master wasn't a practitioner, but a master who was much stronger than ordinary people. However, if the Baldy wasn't an ordinary hooligan, why would he appear here? And it was obvious that he was here to cause trouble for him. Apologize. The Baldy looked at Lin Yi coldly. I'll give you 3 seconds to think about it. Either kneel down and apologize to me, or I'll let my men beat you until you kneel on the ground. Lin Yi took a deep breath. It was premeditated. The enemy must have planned this. It was too much of a coincidence, as if they were putting on a show. Lin Yi didn't know what to do. Was it sent by Jiningjun? To test whether he was injured or not? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. It seemed that he couldn't deceive others with just his appearance. If others suspected him, they would use their own methods to test him. It seemed like that was the case now. Lin Yi was in a dilemma. If he endured it, the Baldy would definitely know that he hadn't recovered his strength yet. Anyone who paid attention would be able to see that he wasn't as strong as before. Otherwise, how could he make the Baldy dodge his attack? If he didn't endure it, the Baldy would still know about his strength. However, there was no need to endure it anymore. No matter what, his strength was exposed, and there was no need for Lin Yi to hide anymore. Let's see who will kneel in the end. As Lin Yi spoke, his body moved and he appeared behind the bald man like a ghost. With a swift and fierce chop, the bald man howled and instantly knelt on the ground. These were some of the assassination methods that Lin Yi had used to save his life, including the footwork just now. It was a set of qinggong that Lin Yi almost never used. It was a trump card that he would only use when he had no other choice. Motherfucker, brothers, go. He dared to hit Brother Baldy, let's cripple him. Several of Baldy's underlings clamored as they surrounded Lin Yi. Can't you tell what's going on? Your boss has already knelt down. A few seconds ago, he wanted me to kneel down. Lin Yi looked at Baldy's subordinates. Drive your car away. I don't want to argue with you. Lin Yi had already exposed his strength. The only thing he could do now was to talk to Chu Pingzhan and ask him to find a bodyguard to replace him. Otherwise, he would bring a lot of trouble to Chu Pingzhan if he stayed in Songshan. Of course, he hoped that these gangsters weren't Jiningjuan's men and it was just a coincidence. This isn't the time for you to argue. You touched our boss, so you have to stay. One of Baldy's underlings pointed at Lin Yi. Otherwise, we won't be able to show our faces in the future. Fine. Lin Yi had no choice. His strength would be exposed sooner or later. The phantom Qigong and the chop just now could confuse the enemy to a certain extent, making them unable to see his strength clearly. The speed of phantom Qigong couldn't be achieved by those who didn't practice it. However, Lin Yi's technique was an exception. That chop was the most common fighting technique, but there wasn't a trace of qi in it. This way, although the enemy would be suspicious of the chop, they would be afraid of Lin Yi's phantom Qigong. They wouldn't be able to guess Lin Yi's strength in such a short time. When they were suspicious, it would create precious time for Lin Yi. But now, Lin Yi couldn't confuse them anymore in front of so many people. He could defeat these people with fighting techniques and not his strength. He believed that he wouldn't be able to fool those people. Half a minute later, Baldy's underlings were the same as Baldy. They all kneeled on the ground and groaned. Lin Yi didn't do anything to them. He only broke some of their limbs and ribs. This was the punishment they deserved. Lin Yi found the car key from Baldy's hand. He moved his Nissan van away and returned to his car. He drove away. During this time, not a single security guard appeared. This meant that this matter was unusual. Lin Yi had to prepare as soon as possible. Phew. Tang Yun looked at Lin Yi, who got in the car unscathed, and let out a sigh of relief. Didn't you say that you lost your strength? You scared me to death. Even if I lost my strength, I'm still a bit stronger than ordinary people, Lin Yi smiled. He didn't want Tang Yun to worry, so he didn't say his suspicions. These people are despicable. Tang Yun didn't know that this was a premeditated provocation. Where are we going now? Tang Yun didn't feel the approaching danger. She was still immersed in happiness. She looked forward to the future and the beautiful days she would have with Lin Yi. A man farming and a woman weaving, holding hands and growing old with him. Let me send you back to the hospital. I still have some things to take care of before I leave. I won't have time to look for you these 2 days, Lin Yi said. Oh. Tang Yun was a bit disappointed, but she didn't say it out loud. Lin Yi had his own things to do. Tang Yun wouldn't bother him like that. Lin Yi stopped the car in front of the hospital. Tang Yun, who was sitting in the passenger seat, didn't want to leave. She held on to Lin Yi's hand. She didn't know when they would meet again. Tang Yun didn't want to let go. Lin Yi was her first love and the firm choice she made in her life. Although it was short, it was unforgettable. Then. I'm leaving. Be careful. Tang Yun knew that this wasn't the time to be affectionate. Although she didn't want to, she still let go of Lin Yi's hand and prepared to get out of the car. Okay, I'll wait for you to find me, Lin Yi smiled. Okay. Tang Yun opened the door and got out of the car. She turned around and quickly kissed Lin Yi's cheek. Then, she turned around and ran away with a red face. Tang Yun had used her actions to prove her sincerity. Tang Yun was a conservative girl. She took the initiative to kiss Lin Yi. In her heart, she already saw herself as his woman. Lin Yi touched the place where Tang Yun kissed and couldn't help but smile. This was a girl who deserved to be protected for life, wasn't she? Chapter 9:15. Revenge must be paid. Not long after Lin Yi left the parking lot of the Starlight Hotel, Zihua got out of the MPV parked in the right corner of the parking lot. Together with Su Jiaonong and the others, they quickly carried Baldy and his men into one of the rooms. In the private room sat Yao Wang and Zhao Qibing. After Zihua and Su Jiaonong carried Baldy and his men in, Yao Wang started checking their injuries. Zihua bro, that kid is too strong. Our brothers got hurt doing things for you. Baldy cried out, trying to take credit. Don't worry, I'll pay you the amount I promised you. I'll even give you some medical fees. Zihua said. Stop howling, shut up if you want to be treated. Baldy shut his mouth when he heard that Zihua was going to give them medical fees. He and his men were a group of desperados, hired by Zihua from another city. Their main purpose was to test Lin Yi. Of course, Zihua didn't tell them about Lin Yi's strength. He only told them to teach Lin Yi a lesson. Baldy, naturally, agreed happily, but he didn't expect to run into a tough opponent. He and his men were all crippled. Of course, what he didn't know was that Lin Yi hadn't recovered his strength yet. Otherwise, they would have died an even worse death. Yao Wang carefully checked the injuries of Baldy and his men. He waved his hand at Zihua. Send them to the hospital, I'm done. Yes. Zihua quickly ordered Su Jiaonong and the others to take Baldy out of the room. After they were gone, Zihua asked, Yao Wang, how is it? Did you notice anything wrong? They're all hard injuries. There's no sign of pure energy damage. Yao Wang said. Lin Yi likes to use pure energy to hurt people. From this, I can tell that Lin Yi's strength hasn't recovered yet. Can you tell me more about what happened when Lin Yi attacked? Yes. Zihua quickly told Yao Wang about how Baldy came looking for trouble, and how Lin Yi made his move. The Medicine King nodded his head and laughed. If that's the case, then if my judgment is correct, Lin Yi's strength is indeed gone. What he had left was just a little bit stronger than an ordinary person's martial arts. It's just a van. If it was the Lin Yi of the past, he would be able to move it with just a push. There was no need for him to look for the key to drive. Oh. Does that mean that Lin Yi is really done for this time? Zhao Qibing was overjoyed. It seems like that Ma Zhu has some ability. He did cause some damage to Lin Yi. Does that mean we have a chance? Master Bing, although according to Yao Wang's judgment, Lin Yi has lost his strength, but we shouldn't be impatient. We should let others find trouble with Lin Yi first. We'll just sit back and watch the tigers fight. Zihua said. Let the Shao family be the vanguard. That's right, then hurry up and spread the news that Lin Yi is injured and hasn't recovered yet, and Uncle Fu is heavily injured as well, and he's about to die. Qibing cackled. Let them have their revenge, let them complain. Yes, Master Bing. I'll go spread the news right now. Zihua nodded, a sinister smile on his face as well. In a beautiful mountain forest, a young married woman in plain clothes sat in a pavilion and played the zither. The young married woman was extremely beautiful, but it was impossible to tell her age from her appearance. She could be said to be in her 30s, or maybe only in her 20s. If it weren't for her fingers moving back and forth on the zither, it would look like a painting from afar. Mountains and rivers, birds, the fragrance of flowers, and a beauty. In fact, it was hard to determine the age of the young woman. The reason why she was called a young woman instead of a young girl was because she didn't have the innocence of a young girl anymore. Instead, there was a sense of maturity and stability. However, if Lin Yi was here, he would probably shout out in surprise. The young woman's appearance was very similar to a person. It was as if they were carved from the same mold. After the song ended, the young woman raised her head sadly and looked at the mountains. Not only was she not intoxicated by the beauty of nature, she sighed with melancholy. Master, elderly, who is in charge of the Dark Shadow group, has something important to discuss with you. A girl in green quickly ran to the pavilion and said respectfully. Oh. Quick, invite him over. The young woman heard the words, elderly, and her melancholy face turned into joy. Yes, Palace Master. The girl in green quickly retreated. After a while, the girl in green walked over with a man in black. The man was about 50 years old and didn't have an outstanding appearance. On the contrary, he was very ordinary. He was the type that couldn't be found in a crowd. Greetings, Palace Master. The man walked over and saw the young woman called Palace Master. He cupped his fists and bowed. Elderly is too polite. Palace Master Sui waved her hand, indicating that the man didn't need to be so polite. She asked anxiously, Elderly is in such a hurry to see me. Is there something important? Yes. Elderly looked at the girl in green beside him and hesitated. He didn't say anything. Palace Master Sui ordered the girl in green, Little Qing, you can leave first. Guard the mountain path and don't let anyone come near. I have something important to discuss with Elderly. Yes, Palace Master. The green-clothed girl nodded and quickly pushed the door open. Uncle Li, there are no outsiders here. What happened? Palace Master Sui stood up. She seemed to be very close to Elderly. Elderly waited for the girl in green to disappear before he took a few steps forward and came to the pavilion. He lowered his voice, but his expression was still respectful as he said, Miss, it's about the young miss, she. What happened? Did you encounter any trouble? Palace Master Su Yi's face revealed a nervous expression when she heard Elderly's words. The young lady has been kidnapped, said Elderly. However, before he could finish, Palace Master Su Yi interrupted him. What? She has been kidnapped. Who is it? Is it serious? Palace Master Su Yi's heart tightened and she quickly asked. Chapter 9:16. She really couldn't let it go. What? There's no one by her side to protect her. What if Shening Jun takes revenge on her? Palace Master Su Yi wasn't as calm as she was when she played the zither. She was like a girl who lost her sense of propriety. Son-in-law should be able to find someone to protect young miss. When Elderly said this, even he himself was a little uncertain. What do we do? Uncle Li, do you have any ideas? Do you have anyone we can use? Palace Master Su Yi asked hurriedly. Miss, there's nothing I can do. Ever since old master left, the great elder was afraid that Miss hasn't given up, so he weakened my influence. Although I'm the first elder now, I can only mobilize the dark shadow group that I single-handedly built. Elderly sighed and said helplessly, the great elder has shrunk his power, and it's impossible to mobilize experts in the Palace of Darkness without the great elder's approval, but, will she be in danger? Palace Master Sui frowned uneasily. Elderly wanted to say something but was interrupted by a cold snicker. Humph, how can you be so impatient? You don't look like a palace master at all. An old woman in her 60s suddenly appeared at the side of the pavilion. She looked at Elderly and Palace Master Su Yi sternly. Supreme Elder, why are you here? Palace Mistress Su Yi was startled by the sudden voice. Greetings, Grand Elder. Elderly cupped his fists and bowed to the Grand Elder. I'm sorry, Palace Master, the Grand Elder insisted on coming up, I didn't dare to stop her. Qing shrunk back in fear. Palace Master Sui shook her head. How could she blame Qing now? Little Qing was only her personal maidservant. How could she dare to stop the Grand Elder? You're the Palace Master, you need to act like one. Don't think that I don't know about you using Elderly's dark shadow group to investigate the secular world. I just turned a blind eye to it. The Grand Supreme Elder looked coldly at Palace Master Su Yi. It's been so many years, yet you still can't let it go. Grand Elder, she is my daughter after all. The blood of our Dark Phoenix clan flows in her. Palace Master Su Yi was like a child who had done something wrong. She didn't dare to look the Grand Elder in the eye. "Humph, daughter. It's just a little vile spawn. This kind of impure bloodline is nothing more than a disgrace to us ancient martial arts cultivators." The Grand Supreme Elder snorted. "You still have the nerve to mention such a big scandal. Do you want the Palace of Darkness to take this bastard back? Let the Heavenly Elixir sect laugh at us." Palace Mistress Su Yi, who was called Wan didn't say anything. She lowered her head, feeling wronged. "Humph, if you had married the second young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect, we wouldn't be in such an awkward situation now. Would we be laughed at by the other sects?" At this point, the Supreme Elder seemed to have touched upon a sad past. He coldly snorted and said to Wan "In the future, you'd better calm down and concentrate on cultivation. Break through the Earth rank and reach the Heaven rank within 10 years. Otherwise, don't blame me for killing that adulterer and little bastard." Then, the Grand Supreme Elder floated away, leaving Palace Master Wan with a face full of grievance. "Miss, I really can't do anything. I'm sorry." Elderly sighed. The Grand Supreme Elder is doing this for the Palace of Darkness. Although she is an extremely snobbish person, she has never married. She has dedicated her entire life to the Palace of Darkness. She is Madame Dowager's subordinate and they are like sisters. I am one generation lower than her. I know, but I really can't let it go." Palace Master Wan couldn't help but shed a line of tears. "Miss, there is something that I don't know if I should say." Elderly hesitated and said, "Uncle Lee, just say it." "What can't you say?" Palace Master Wan looked at Elderly in confusion. "Miss, the Grand Supreme Elder is actually disappointed that you didn't live up to his expectations. If you really break through to Heaven rank within 10 years, our Palace of Darkness will have 2 Heaven rank masters. At the Heaven rank conference, our Palace of Darkness will also have a place. At that time, if you recognize the little miss, who will laugh at our Palace of Darkness? Who will dare to laugh at our Palace of Darkness?" I'm afraid the Grand Supreme Elder won't be able to say anything else, right? Elderly hesitated. But breaking through to Heaven rank is easy to say, but how difficult is it to actually do it? Palace Master Wan nodded and sighed. Miss is talented and smart, and has the blood of the Dark Phoenix. It's only a matter of time before she breaks through to Heaven rank. Elderly said. Uncle Lee, help me keep an eye on her. Palace Master Wan said. Don't worry, Mississippi, taking care of the little miss is also my responsibility. Elderly nodded. After sending Tang Yun off, Lin Yi drove back to the villa. On the way, he wanted to give Peng Zhan a call. He had something important to discuss with him, but before he could make the call, Peng Zhan's call came in. Hello, Uncle Chu. Lin Yi picked up. Where are you? Yao Yao said you went on a date with Tang Yun. Peng Zhan asked. I'm on my way back to the villa, what's up? Lin Yi didn't catch the hidden meaning in Peng Zhan's words. He was in a rush to tell Peng Zhan about the exposure of his strength, so he didn't consider the meaning in his words. It's nothing, we'll talk about it when you come back. Peng Zhan didn't say much after hearing that Lin Yi was coming back. All right. I want to talk to you too. Lin Yi paused and nodded. Although Lin Yi didn't know why Peng Zhan was looking for him, it had to have something to do with the disappearance of his strength. Lin Yi parked the car in the villa's yard and walked in. He saw the miss and Shu watching TV on the sofa in the living room, but the show they were watching was the housewife training program that they didn't want to watch the most, but now, the two of them were watching it with great interest. Lin Yi couldn't understand the interests of these two girls. They were jumping around a little too much. The sound of Lin Yi opening the door attracted Peng Zhan's attention. Pingzhan walked out of Lin Yi's room and nodded at Lin Yi, you're back. Chapter 9:17. Pingzhan's terms. Mingyao blushed, thinking that Lin Yi already knew what her father wanted to talk to him about. That was why she suggested going into the room. Okay. Pingzhan nodded and entered the room with Lin Yi. Pingzhan closed the door and gestured for Lin Yi to sit. Sit anywhere you like. We're family, no need to be so formal. Okay, Uncle Chu. Lin Yi was used to Pingzhan's friendliness. He sat in front of him. I heard from Yao Yao that you've lost all your strength, so you're resigning. Is that true? Pingzhan asked. Yes, Uncle Chu. To tell you the truth, I'm not much stronger than a normal person right now. I'm afraid I can't even protect myself. I don't have the strength to protect Yao Yao and Shu. Lin Yi nodded calmly, so I have no choice but to resign. I see. Pingzhan nodded. It's fine if you lose your strength, being a normal person isn't that bad. Oh, do you like business? Business? Lin Yi paused, not understanding what Pingzhan meant. It's alright. All roads lead to Rome. You can be successful in business as well, Pingzhan said. You're the second biggest shareholder of Pingzhan Industries, right? Learning how to do business isn't a bad thing. I'll retire one day, but Pingzhan Industries still needs to be passed down. Lin Yi paused after hearing the words. Pingzhan didn't say it out loud, but the meaning behind his words was clear. Lin Yi wasn't an idiot. Pingzhan was hinting that he could be nurtured as an heir. Uncle Chu, Pingzhan Industries needs to be handed over to Yao Yao. How could we hand it over to an outsider? Lin Yi shrugged with a smile, rejecting Pingzhan's suggestion. Pingzhan smiled and changed the topic. What do you think of Yao Yao? Yao Yao. It's pretty good. Lin Yi looked at Pingzhan suspiciously, not knowing how to answer the sudden question. Oh, then do you like Yao Yao? Pingzhan didn't get anything from hinting at Lin Yi about the group, so he decided to get straight to the point. Quack. Lin Yi froze, his eyes wide. Pingzhan's question was a little too much for Lin Yi to answer. Of course he did, but before Lin Yi understood Pingzhan's intentions, there were some things he couldn't say. Yao Yao is cute and pretty. She's the campus belle, and also a goddess in the eyes of many guys. Lin Yi changed his way of saying it, but he also hinted that he thought the same way. Outside Lin Yi's room, two little spies had already appeared and were monitoring the conversation in the room. When Pingzhan asked the question, Mingyao's heart tightened, and her breathing quickened. Oh, Yao Yao, what do you think Shield Bro would say? Yushu asked. Don't say anything. Meng Yao was afraid that Yushu would interrupt and miss Lin Yi's words. But when Lin Yi's answer stopped in Meng Yao's ears, she was a little happy, but also a little disappointed. Why did Lin Yi always change the topic? Why did he have to talk about other people whether he liked her or not? What about you? Pingzhan looked at Lin Yi. I think any guy who's been with her for a long time would like her. Lin Yi shrugged. Pingzhan didn't give up, so he could only answer like this. Alright, I'll put it another way. Pingzhan saw through Lin Yi's thoughts. The future of Pingzhan Industries, I want to hand it over to you, and let you bring it to greater heights. Lin Yi, naturally, understood what Pingzhan was getting at. No wonder Pingzhan had brought up the group before, and now that he was bringing it up, Lin Yi knew everything. Uncle Chu, I have a girlfriend. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I think you know that I just went on a date with her, and I gave her an engagement ring. Oh? Pingzhan froze after hearing Lin Yi's words. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be serious about Tang Yin. This was going to be difficult. His daughter could accept Shu, but could she accept Tang Yin? Uncle Chu, actually, I know that you care about me, and I'm very grateful for that. Lin Yi said, but marriage is a big thing, and we still need the consent of the person in question. I think that Yao Yao doesn't like me. Maybe under your suggestion, Yao Yao will agree to this out of gratitude towards me. This is unfair to her. Also, it's unfair to Tang Yin. Lin Yi really didn't think that Miss would like him. Of course, she was grateful. As for the jealousy with Tang Yin, it was also because of Shu's instigation. From Lin Yi's point of view, Mrs. feelings towards him were more of the gratitude towards him for saving her life, and the sense of security that living with him gave her. Mingyao's tears gushed out in an instant. Who said that I don't like him? I like him, I like him. Mingyao wanted to rush into the house and explain it to Lin Yi, but she couldn't muster up the courage to do so. Lin Yi's attitude had already said everything. He wouldn't give up on Tang Yin, so what else could she say? Wasn't that asking for humiliation? Was she going to beg Lin Yi to let her be his mistress, and Yushu be his mistress? Miss couldn't do such a thing, nor could she say it out loud. From what I see, Yao Yao and Tang Yin's relationship isn't bad. Pingzhan didn't think that Lin Yi would reject it so firmly. Although, Pingzhan didn't think that his daughter would fight with other girls for Lin Yi. From his point of view, a good man should be loyal, just like himself. But, for the sake of his father's promise, and for the sake of his daughter's happiness, Pingzhan's words revealed a hint of compromise. In other words, if Tang Yin and Meng Yao didn't mind, he wouldn't mind either. Lin Yi was stunned. He really couldn't understand how he could make Pingzhan look at him in such a different light. From the beginning, Pingzhan had been very polite to him. It didn't seem like the relationship between an employer and an employee at all. Yes, Lin Yi was really curious. Chapter 9:18. Never liked him. Lin Yi, you're a smart man. I think you understand what I mean. Chu Pingzhan looked at Lin Yi and said. Uncle Chu, why are you so nice to me? Lin Yi couldn't help but ask. There's a reason behind it, but it involves some secrets, and I can't reveal it right now. Pingzhan smiled bitterly. His father didn't tell him the exact reason either. Pingzhan could only remember his father telling him firmly that if he wanted to see his wife again, if he wanted House Chu to prosper, then he'd have to let Yao Yao keep Lin Yi. Pingzhan didn't know why his father was so certain either. He'd asked him about it, but his father had told him that it wasn't time yet, hee. Lin Yi sighed and smiled. I appreciate Uncle Chu's trust and love, but even if I agree, I don't think Yao Yao will agree. This time, I'm going back to my old home to find a way to recover my strength. Tang Yun will go with me. Yao Yao is the daughter of a rich family, how could she stand that kind of environment? A straw hut, a public toilet, warm in summer and cold in winter, it's really hard. Plus, I don't want to hurt Tang Yun. Pingzhan didn't think that Lin Yi would still insist on leaving. He wanted Lin Yi to stay because he wanted Lin Yi to stay in Songshan, but the thought of his daughter suffering with Lin Yi put him in a difficult position. Would his daughter agree? Meng Yao really wanted to rush into the room and tell Lin Yi, I can handle it, after hearing Lin Yi's words. Why can't I? If Tang Yun can do it, so can I. However, Lin Yi's last sentence stopped the eldest miss in her tracks and stopped the impulse in her heart. Lin Yi didn't want to hurt Tang Yun. Yes, even if she could accept Tang Yun and become Lin Yi's concubine, would Tang Yun be willing? Why would others accept him? Shoo, let's go. It was Mingyao's first time confessing to Lin Yi through her father, only to be rejected mercilessly. The Miss Fragile Heart was very, very hurt. Yao Yao, Shield Bro seems to like you. Don't you want to try harder? Yushu could tell that Meng Yao was sad. Humph. Who does he think he is? You want to have 3 or 4 wives? Dream on. Meng Yao stomped her foot. Let him go, he'll go. Who cares about him? He's just a bodyguard. I'll ask Daddy to find me someone more powerful. Someone 10 times more powerful and handsome than him. I don't like him at all. What a narcissistic fellow. Oh, Yao Yao sis, although it feels good to lie to yourself, if you want to cry, just cry. Yushu is your strong shield, I'll always be with you. Yushu said. Cry. Huh? Why am I crying? Lin Yi's blind, why would I cry? Meng Yao stumbled up the stairs and fell onto the bed. She couldn't hold it in any longer, and tears started flowing down her cheeks uncontrollably. Yushu stood at the door, deep in thought. Actually, Yao Yao's problem wasn't a problem at all. She just wanted to be a small wife, and everything would be fine. Yao Yao sis, maybe I should go talk to Tang Yin. Yushu asked carefully. Talk about what? Do you think I need someone else's charity? Meng Yao couldn't hold it in anymore. She hugged Yushu and started sobbing. Don't cry, Yao Yao, Yushu supports you. Yushu said quickly. Shoo. Was I wrong from the start? Meng Yao asked blankly after crying for a while. She was tired from crying. I don't know, but I don't think you should give up, Yao Yao. Yushu said. So what if you don't give up? Meng Yao shook her head. Alright, Shu, I'm fine, I'm happy again. Let's not talk about him anymore, Yao Yao, you're lying. Yushu said. I don't like him at all. I've never liked him, not now, not in the past, and never in the future. Meng Yao shook her head firmly. Oh, forget it, I still want to help you. Yushu shook her head disappointedly. You have a way. Meng Yao paused and looked at Yushu. You don't like him, what's the point of me saying it? Yushu shook her head again. Then just say it. Let's just pretend we're just chatting, okay? It's pointless now anyway. Meng Yao said. Who knows, maybe you'll like him in the future. Just treat it as a practice. Oh, actually, I think the most important thing now is to make Shield Bro stay. Yushu said. Otherwise, if Shield Bro and Tang Yin hide in the mountains, we won't be able to find any opponents. Ugh. But, doesn't he have to go back? Meng Yao asked. But, as long as Shield Bro recovers, he can come back. Yushu said. So we can talk to him, as long as he recovers, he'll come back to the villa. That way, you'll have a chance. Yes, you'll have a chance. Meng Yao was a stubborn person. But how do you know that he'll definitely recover? I'm a prophet, Shu. Although I'm a crow sometimes, my words are very accurate. Yushu said with self-awareness. Oh, up to you. I don't really care. Meng Yao didn't know why, but she was secretly happy in her heart. She didn't show any expression on her face. Don't worry, Yao Yao. Leave it to me. Yushu said confidently. In the study downstairs, Lin Yi didn't know that the miss overheard his conversation with Pingzhan. But even if he knew, Lin Yi would still say it. Although it was a little hurtful, Lin Yi had to do it. He had a good impression of Meng Yao and Yushu. It was a fact. But he couldn't hurt everyone because of the truth. Wouldn't he cause trouble for Meng Yao if he stayed in the villa? If his enemies came looking for him, they would definitely be dragged into this. This wasn't something Lin Yi wanted to see. So, no matter what, Lin Yi had to leave. Don't you want to reconsider? Pingzhan looked at Lin Yi with a bitter smile. He didn't expect that Lin Yi wouldn't budge even after he laid his cards on the table. Uncle Chu, actually, I want to stay here too. Lin Yi shrugged. But I have a lot of enemies. They'll come looking for me soon. If that happens, I won't be able to protect myself, and I won't be able to protect Yao Yao and Shu. Wouldn't that be harming everyone? Chapter 9:19. The forces that wanted to make trouble. Uncle Chu, even if you hired a bodyguard, I can't just stay in the villa for the rest of my life. I can't just stay there and be protected by others, can I? Lin Yi said helplessly, I have to regain my strength. That's why I'm resigning and looking for a way to recover my strength. You're right. A man's ambition is to travel far and wide. Pingzhan nodded, can't you recover your strength in the villa? It's very difficult, I don't have a way now. I can only go out and look for a way, Lin Yi said. If that's the case, then I won't stop you. Pingzhan saw that Lin Yi had made up his mind and didn't try to persuade him anymore, but, I hope that after you leave, you can treat this place as your home, a place where you can hide from the wind. I will, Lin Yi nodded, Yao Yao, Shu, and I will always be good friends. Good. Pingzhan didn't say anything else. After all, it wasn't his place to interfere with young people's business. Since things had come to this, Pingzhan could only wish Lin Yi well. I hope you can recover your strength as soon as possible. Thank you, Uncle Chu. Lin Yi smiled bitterly in his heart. Recover his strength? He didn't have much confidence in himself. Leaving the villa, in his old man's words, was just going to seek refuge. How could it be that easy to recover strength? There were so many spiritual practitioners in the world who lost their martial arts because their meridians were damaged. They had to accept the fact that they were useless and practice physical arts again. However, because of their injuries, even if they started training again, it would be difficult for them to achieve much. Most of them stopped at the peak of the late phase of the golden class, and they never broke through again in their lives. It was easy to practice physical arts at the beginning, but once you reached a certain bottleneck, it was hard to break through. Body refinement, at the limit, was very slow to improve. For people like Ma Zhu, unless they were talented and had a good physique, they wouldn't be able to reach such a level. Thinking about it, Ma Zhu must be even more depressed than him. He could still practice physical arts with his meridians broken, but what about Ma Zhu? Perhaps he would have to go back home to farm. However, Uncle Chu, I feel that my enemies have noticed that I have lost my strength, so I think you should find a bodyguard to replace me as soon as possible. Otherwise, I'm afraid you will be in trouble. Lin Yi said with a serious look and continued, after all, many of my enemies are also your enemies. Many of them became enemies with me because they wanted to deal with Yao Yao. If they can't find me, I'm afraid they will turn back to deal with you and Yao Yao. I know that. Pingzhan nodded. I've already contacted Fauberts Jr., he's also a bodyguard for someone. His employer left the country a while ago, but he's currently working as a cash escort for a wealthy businessman. It's a one-time mission, and he'll be able to come back after the mission is over. But he gave me the number of a bodyguard company that specializes in providing temporary bodyguards for rich people. I hired one there to temporarily replace him. Oh, what's his strength? Lin Yi asked. It said that he's a mystic, Pingzhan said. In terms of strength, there's no problem. As long as it's not a deep grudge, he should be able to intimidate those enemies. Lin Yi thought about it and asked, when will he come? In these 2 days, Pingzhan said, if not today, then tomorrow. All right, I'm relieved. Lin Yi nodded. Pingzhan left the villa after the conversation with Lin Yi. There were a lot of things to do in the company these 2 days, and he had no time to spare. However, Lin Yi didn't see the Miss and Shu come downstairs the whole night. Lin Yi guessed that they were catching up on sleep because they didn't sleep well while taking care of him for the past few days. The next morning, Meng Yao and Yushu came downstairs hand in hand. The miss was no different than usual, and Lin Yi didn't suspect anything. Lin Yi, when are you leaving? Meng Yao asked. In these 2 days, I'll leave when Uncle Chu's bodyguards arrive. Lin Yi said, a little sad. And, are you leaving from the villa? Meng Yao asked. I think so. Lin Yi nodded. Then tell me and Shu will send you off. Meng Yao said. All right. Lin Yi looked at Meng Yao curiously. The miss seemed a little too calm, wasn't she? Was she different from yesterday? In the villa district, Xiao family had moved into the newly purchased villa. Xiao Ji was glaring at his wife. Go Huli, look at what you've done. What kind of people did you offend? Thank God I didn't listen to you and sent Uncle Pai to cause trouble for Pingzhan. Otherwise, it would be our Xiao family in trouble. What's wrong? Wasn't it my second brother's idea? Why did it have to do with me? Go Huli felt wronged, didn't we investigate it? In Pingzhan's house, there's a golden class late phase peak physical practitioner called Faubert. Our Uncle Pai is a mystic mid-phase physical practitioner. But other than Faubert, Pingzhan has another practitioner with him. A mystic early phase peak spiritual practitioner. Xiao Ji said, thank God I paid a visit to Master Bing, otherwise we'd still be in the dark. A spiritual master at the peak of the early phase of the mystic class is on par with a physical master at the middle phase of the mystic class. If they really fight, they have a physical master at the peak of the late phase of the golden class to help them. House Xiao will be the one at a disadvantage. No way, right? This Pingzhan, a small businessman, was this strong. How is that possible? Are you sure you're not mistaken? Go Huli was shocked, her mouth wide open in disbelief. How could Master Bing be mistaken? Xiao Ji humphed coldly. That mystic early phase peak spiritual practitioner is called Lin Yi, and he broke Master Bing's legs. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Now Master Bing hates him to the core. How could he have made a mistake about his strength? No way. He even dares to beat up Master Bing. Is he tired of living? Go Huli was shocked. Then what should I do? Wouldn't I be losing for nothing? Then what do you want? He has 2 practitioners with him, and we're just wasting our time fighting him head on. Xiao Ji was actually quite troubled as well. He'd wanted to squeeze a large sum of money from Pingzhan, so that Xiao family's business in Songshan would be a lot better off. He didn't expect to find out that Pingzhan wasn't as simple as he seemed. There were hidden dragons and crouching tigers around him. Chapter 920. Xiao family makes a move. Oh. What is it? Xiao Ji paused. Li Fu was injured, we don't know if he's dead or alive, and Pengzhan's daughter was kidnapped as well. She was rescued by that Lin Yi bodyguard, but that Lin Yi seems to be injured quite badly as well. Xiao Ben grinned, the police have already leaked the news, but it's not a secret to us. Oh. Someone dares touch Pingzhan. Xiao Ji paused at Xiao Ben's words. Who did it? Do they have a master? House Shin of Donghai, they blackmailed Pingzhan for 250 million, and they have a mystic mid-phase peak physical practitioner helping them. Xiao Ben said, I heard that he's injured as well, and is being treated at Master Bing's place. I haven't asked Master Bing about it yet, so I don't know the specifics. But one thing is for sure, this is a great opportunity for our Xiao family. 250 million, that much? Xiao Ji's eyes flashed with desire as he licked his lips. We were thinking of asking for 100 million at first, but we didn't expect them to be even more ruthless than us. Second brother, hurry up and ask around. If Pingzhan's bodyguards are dead, then it's a great opportunity for our Xiao family to take advantage of them. Naturally, I know that. Xiao Ben nodded. I've already sent Xiao Wangba and Xiao Wangdao out to ask around, and I'm sure we'll get some news soon. We can't hide this even if we want to. Wahahaha, the heavens are really helping our Xiao family. Xiao Ji laughed as he looked at his wife. Huli, you've done a great job this time, otherwise Xiao family wouldn't have any reason to ask for money from Pingzhan. Then why did you yell at me just now? Huli was overjoyed to hear that House Chu's bodyguards were gone. Not only could she get revenge for herself, but Xiao family would also get a huge sum of money. I didn't understand the situation just now, did I? Xiao Ji hugged his wife happily. Don't worry, House Chu will definitely be taken advantage of by us this time. Brother, how much should we ask for this time? The 100 million we agreed on last time is really not much. Xiao Ben also felt that the Xiao family would most likely get some benefits this time. The Jin family really dares to demand an exorbitant price. 250 million, Pingzhan actually gave it to me. We need at least 200 million. Xiao Ji said. This Pingzhan sure is rich. If we don't ask for more, we'll be letting down the good opportunity that the Jin family has created for us. As the two of them were talking, Xiao Wangba and Xiao Wangdao came back. The moment they entered, Xiao Wangba shouted excitedly, Dad, second uncle, good news. Super good news. Oh. What good news? Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben looked at each other. They could guess what the other was thinking. Li Fu's life or death is still unknown, and that Lin Yi has lost all his strength. Xiao Wangba said, the news has already spread outside. How reliable is the information? Xiao Ji was delighted and quickly asked. I'm not too sure about that, but Dad, don't you know Master Bing? You can ask him for confirmation. Master Bing is a local tyrant, so he should be able to get the most accurate information. Xiao Wangba said. Alright, I'll call Master Bing right now. Xiao Ji nodded and took out his phone to call Master Bing. Qibing waited for the Xiao family's response after Zihua released the news. He didn't think that the Xiao family would be so impatient to call him after just one day. Qibing laughed and picked up the phone. Hello. I'm Xiao Qibing. Master Bing, I'm Xiao Ji from the Xiao family. Xiao Ji was very respectful towards Qibing. He was from a noble house, so naturally, he knew that Qibing came from a hidden noble house, a house even bigger than the noble houses. Qibing was a bastard, but his family was very powerful. Oh, it's Uncle Xiao. What's the matter, Uncle Xiao? Qibing pretended not to know. It's like this, I heard that something happened to Pingzhan. Xiao Ji had asked Master Bing about Pingzhan before, and his words revealed his hatred towards Pingzhan. He wanted to see Master Bing's attitude. If Master Bing wanted to protect Pingzhan, then Xiao Ji wouldn't do anything to Pingzhan. However, he didn't expect Master Bing and Pingzhan to be enemies, and so Xiao Ji expressed his intentions without holding back. Oh, Uncle Xiao, you're asking about this? Qibing thought. As expected, he couldn't wait any longer. But that was good, the more people there were to deal with Lin Yi and House Chu, the happier he would be. He said, that's right, I've already sent people to investigate. Li Fu's injuries are very serious, and he hasn't recovered yet. That Lin Yi has lost all his strength, and has become a normal person. Uncle Xiao, you can deal with them without worry. Is that so? So it's you, Master Bing. Xiao Ji was overjoyed. He was worried that the news wasn't accurate, but now that it was Qibing himself, he relaxed. You know the grudge between me and Lin Yi. Now that something like this has happened to him, I want to deal with him as well. Qibing paused on purpose. Zhendazhou extorted so much money from Pingzhan, 250 million. I'm very envious. So I've been thinking about it, and I'm going to try and get some benefits. Is that so? Haha, alright, thank you, Master Bing. Xiao Ji quickly hung up and said to Xiao Ben impatiently, Brother, it's Xiao Qibing who sent people to investigate Lin Yi. He found out that Lin Yi has lost all his strength, and Faobert's status is unknown as well. Xiao Qibing is very envious of Zhendazhou for extorting 250 million from Pingzhan, and he wants to get some benefits as well, so we need to act as soon as possible. Oh. Is that so? If that's the case, then we need to act as soon as possible. Otherwise, if Pingzhan gets sucked dry, who do we ask for money from? Chapter 921. Arrogantly denouncing the crime, you're Pingzhan, aren't you? The man in the Taoist robe pushed the door open and walked in. The bastards downstairs dared stop me from coming up, so I've taken care of them myself. Ah. Pingzhan paused, shocked by the sudden entrance. May I ask if you're Zhizun Wei, Mr. Wei? That's me. The man in the Taoist robe nodded and said, the security guards here are too inferior. How dare they come out and embarrass themselves with such skills? The phone on Pingzhan's desk rang just as Wei Zhizun finished his sentence. Pingzhan smiled bitterly as he picked up the phone. It was indeed the security captain, saying that a domineering man had barged into the company and was looking for Pingzhan. He'd even injured 2 of the security guards. Pingzhan didn't know what to say, but he couldn't blame Wei Zhizun at a time like this. After all, Faobert's juniors were relying on him. He only told the captain that everything was fine, and told him to send the 2 injured guards to the hospital for treatment. Mr. Wei, you're quite skilled, but you don't have to be calculative with normal people, do you? Pingzhan put down the phone and stood up. My daughter and I'll be relying on you from now on. Of course, of course. Wei Zhizun said proudly. I'm a mystic supreme, I have no problem keeping you safe, but as for the commission, the bodyguard company told me already, 200,000 a month, no problem at all. Pingzhan nodded, thinking of Lin Yi. 30,000 was quite cheap, but it was his old man who had set the price, and he didn't have the right to interfere. No, that's the company's price. Wei Zhizun shook his head. That money is for the company, so you have to pay me 300,000 a month. Pingzhan paused, not expecting Wei Zhizun to be this greedy. What? You can't afford it. Then I'll have to leave. Wei Zhizun said as he stood up to leave. Please don't be angry, Mr. Wei. Fine, 300,000 it is. Pingzhan had no choice but to agree. 500,000 for a big shot, but Pingzhan had no choice but to keep him. That's what I said. 500,000 to hire a mystic class supreme being, that's a pretty good deal for you. Wei Zhizun nodded and laughed. Pingzhan wasn't too clear on the levels of strength, and he didn't know how strong a mystic prime was, but it sounded like it was pretty strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to raise the price like this. Alright, then according to the contract, the probation period is 1 month, and the salary will start next month? Pingzhan asked. Those are the company's rules. Wei Zhizun shook his head. This Wei's rule is that the probation period is 1 day, and the salary will be paid starting tomorrow. Alright, no problem. Pingzhan sighed. Wasn't this bodyguard a little too cocky? Who was the employer? But Wei Zhizun was right, a mystic class supreme being a bodyguard for a commoner. How could that be possible if there wasn't a huge benefit to it? But as the two were talking, the office door was pushed open once more, and 3 arrogant people walked in. This time, the security captain downstairs didn't dare to stop them. Who knew what kind of people were coming today? Previously, there was an old man in a Taoist robe who hurt people without saying a word. Now, these 3 people didn't say anything and just rushed inside angrily. Where's Pingzhan? You've got some guts, haven't you? How dare you mess with someone from the Xiao family? Xiao Ji barked as soon as he walked in. Ping Zhan had met Xiao Ji before, and knew that he was from the Xiao family. Ping Zhan Industries had done business with the Xiao family before. As for what happened to the Xiao family recently, Ping Zhan knew that the Xiao family came to Songshan to invest, but he didn't know why the Xiao family would come to his office all of a sudden. It seemed like they were here to interrogate him. Mr. Xiao, may I know how I've offended the Xiao family? Ping Zhan looked at the murderous Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben, confused. Were these two mistaken? Ping Zhan Industries' recent business had nothing to do with the Xiao family, and there was no way they'd offended the Xiao family. Your daughter humiliated my wife, Go Huli. Xiao Ji laughed coldly. My Xiao family just came to Songshan, and you're already trying to show us who's boss. Is it because the old man who bullied our Xiao family just passed away, and our Xiao family is unable to recover from this setback? A tiger that falls to the plains will be bullied by dogs. Mr. Xiao Ji, what do you mean by that? When did my daughter humiliate your wife? Ping Zhan frowned. Besides, there's no way you're trying to show us who's boss. Ping Zhan Industries has done business with the Xiao family before, and I can't wait to welcome your investment here. Why would I bully you? Humph. You make it sound so nice. Our Xiao family is still bigger than a starving camel, and you're one of the biggest corporations in the area. Aren't you afraid that our Xiao family will come and take away your business? Xiao Ji humphed. So you instigated your daughter to humiliate my wife in every possible way, to attack our Xiao family's position in Songshan. Mr. Xiao Ji, why am I getting more and more confused? Business is business, and since it's business, naturally there are buyers and sellers. Business is only business when there are more people. Why would I be afraid of you guys taking away my business? Ping Zhan had his suspicions, but Xiao Ji's words made sense. Ping Zhan felt that something wasn't quite right. It seemed like the Xiaos were here to cause trouble on purpose. Alright, Mr. Chu, we're all smart people, let's cut the bullshit. Xiao Ben, who had been standing at the side, spoke up. Why don't you just ask your daughter? She and this Shu person bullied my sister-in-law, Go Huli. How could we say anything? Ping Zhan paused. If Xiao Ben said that his daughter was with Shu, then it couldn't be nonsense. Could it be that Yao Yao offended that Go Huli again? Alright, since Mr. Xiao is so insistent, I'll ask my daughter first. Ping Zhan had no choice but to nod. Hurry up, there's a limit to our patience. Xiao Ji's words carried a commanding tone. Chapter 922. Super greedy. The matter had just ended, and now the Xiao family was knocking on his door again. Ping Zhan turned and went into his office break room, and the Xiao family didn't follow him in. They just stood there, smiling coldly. In the break room, Ping Zhan dialed his daughter's number, but hung it up after some thought. She was probably at school at this time, so he called Lin Yi directly. Uncle Chu. Lin Yi was at Xuemin's house with Kong Xiaobo and Fatty Lai. He had some things to take care of before he left. Yi, I want to ask you about something. It's about Yao Yao and a person called Go Huli. Ping Zhan said. Oh. Go Huli. Lin Yi paused, remembering this person. He told Ping Zhan about what happened, but, it's been a while. Why are you asking about this all of a sudden, Uncle Chu? Go Huli, the wife of the Xiao family's young master, Xiao Ji. Now, they're here. Ping Zhan sighed. According to Lin Yi, although Yao Yao and Shu were at fault in the beginning, it was just a small dispute. They only wet Go Huli's clothes, and after Yao Yao and Shu apologized and asked for compensation, Go Huli was being unreasonable. But now, the Xiao family was using this as an excuse to say that Yao Yao was the one who insulted Go Huli. It seemed that the Xiao family didn't come with good intentions. Oh. Lin Yi paused. They're from Yanjing Xiao family. They're here. Lin Yi didn't think that the enemy would come this soon. Meng Yao and Go Huli's dispute had been going on for a while, but the Xiao family hadn't made a move yet. They just had to come when Faubert was injured, and he didn't have any strength left. There had to be a conspiracy behind this. However, Lin Yi was powerless. He had only met the two juniors of the Xiao family once, and he didn't have any advantage in terms of strength. It's nothing. I can still handle it. I just want to verify it with you. Don't worry. Ping Zhan sighed, thanking his lucky stars that Wei Zhizun had arrived. Otherwise, the Xiao family would have eaten him up for sure. Hanging up the call with Lin Yi, Ping Zhan turned around and walked out of the lounge. He looked at the Xiao family brothers, then at the old man beside them, and his eyes narrowed. Ping Zhan hadn't noticed this person before, but upon closer inspection, he realized that there was a thick killing intent emanating from him. Ping Zhan might be a normal person, but facing a master like this still gave him the chills. Could he be the legendary guardian of the Xiao family, Uncle Pai? If it was really him, then the Xiao family must have some ulterior motive for coming here this time. Mr. Xiao, I've already made the phone call, but this matter doesn't seem to be the fault of my daughter alone, does it? Ping Zhan said, neither servile nor overbearing. If we were to say something wrong, it would be that your wife's attitude was a little impatient. Fuck you. What did you say? Xiao Ji couldn't help but curse at Ping Zhan's words. We, the Xiao family, don't need you to teach us what to do. Before the old man of the Xiao family had passed away, Xiao Ji had been a good-for-nothing hedonistic young master. He had spent his days fighting and mingling with other hedonistic young masters, causing trouble everywhere he went. But at that time, the Xiao family was at its peak, so it didn't matter. These few years, Xiao Ji had toned down a little, but his bad temper and good-for-nothing personality hadn't changed. Ping Zhan's nonsensical words pissed him off. Ping Zhan didn't expect Xiao Ji to be this uncultured, cursing at the slightest disagreement. How was this a meeting between people of status? Mr. Xiao, what's the meaning of this? Ping Zhan took a deep breath. You're here to cause trouble. So what if I am? I'm not afraid to tell you that I'm here to get back at my wife. Xiao Ji humphed coldly as he kicked the sofa in the office. You dare bully the Xiao family? I think you're tired of living, aren't you? My Xiao family is still a noble house, no matter how weak we are. Who do you think you are, Ping Zhan? Wei Zhizun, on the other hand, was sitting on the side, enjoying the show. Since Ping Zhan didn't ask him to make a move, he was more than happy to watch the show. Only when the situation became more and more dangerous would he be able to make a move and show his power. Xiao Ji, are you here to cause trouble? What do you want? Just say it. Ping Zhan didn't believe that Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben were just cursing and smashing things. There had to be some other purpose. Alright, big bro, calm down first. Let me talk to Mr. Chu. Xiao Ben was very satisfied with his brother's actions. He'd put Ping Zhan in his place first, and the following conditions would be easier to negotiate. So Xiao Ben pretended to persuade Xiao Ji first before continuing. I believe that Mr. Chu is a smart man, and will definitely compensate our Xiao family. Am I right, Mr. Chu? Humph. Xiao Ji humphed coldly as he sat on the sofa, not saying another word. Just say what you want, won't you? Ping Zhan, of course, knew what the Xiao family brothers were here for. They were just using this as an excuse to ask for some benefits. Good. Xiao Ben looked at Ping Zhan and nodded. Our Xiao family is a noble house, and even if we're a little down and out right now, the Xiao family isn't someone you can just humiliate. If Mr. Chu doesn't pay a price, won't everyone start humiliating our Xiao family? What price do you want? Pingzhan asked, suppressing the anger in his heart. It had been so long, and the Xiaos had only just come to their doorstep, and the timing was quite coincidental, coming only when Li Fu and Lin Yi were injured. Pingzhan couldn't help but suspect that they'd come after receiving the news. We won't ask for much, Xiao family is here to do business, after all. How about this, Mr. Chu, why don't you just give us the Pingzhan Mall and Pingzhan Hotel to Xiao family, and give us 200 million as a starting capital, and we'll call it quits. Xiao Ben said straightforwardly. Plus, he didn't want to pay up at all. Seeing Pingzhan's angry face, his greed grew. Chapter 923. This is your helper. Greedy. You bullied our Xiao family, it's good enough that Pingzhan Industries didn't go bankrupt. Xiao Ji interrupted, back in the days when our Xiao family was at its peak, if you messed with our Xiao family, we would have taken down your entire Pingzhan Industries. One word from Xiao family, and no one would dare to do business with you. Ah, Xiao Ji, you said it yourself, Xiao family isn't what it used to be. There's no need for us to talk about this anymore, please leave, Pingzhan said faintly. Pingzhan said faintly. Since House Xiao had such a big appetite, he'd have to continue being enemies with them. Just wait and see. Pingzhan thought that although Xiao family was a big family, they were new to Songshan, and Pingzhan Industries might not lose to them. Pingzhan, don't fucking refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Xiao Ji slapped his thigh, what are you pretending for? Our Xiao family may not be what it used to be, but how much better can you be? Do you still think you're the Pingzhan from a while ago? Do you know why we came to you now? Do you know why? Pingzhan frowned, his heart skipping a beat. It seemed like he was right. But this Xiao Ji was too arrogant. Your driver, Li Fu, was he crippled? He still hasn't woken up yet, right? That Lin Yi, he's injured too, isn't he? He lost all his strength, right? Xiao Ji continued, we didn't come to you before because we were worried, but now that we're here, we're sure that we'll take you down. If you know what's good for you, you'd better pay up or we'll bring you more excitement. So you've planned this all along. Pingzhan's face was green with anger. The Xiao family brothers were here to take advantage of him. So what? Pingzhan, Earth isn't safe right now, you and your daughter need to be careful, don't die on the streets. Otherwise, you won't be alive to spend your money. Xiao Ji said coldly, there are too many unsolved cases these days. Mr. Wei, see the guest out. Chu Pingzhan glanced at Wei Zhizun, who was sitting on the sofa. Fortunately, he was prepared. Otherwise, the Xiao family would definitely eat him alive. Wei Zhizun stood up in a very arrogant manner. If the background music was added, this scene would often be the scene of an expert appearing in a TV drama. You three ignorant children, hurry up and scram for this way. If you dare cause trouble here again, I'll take your lives. Wei Zhizun waved his hand arrogantly and looked at the Xiao family brothers and Uncle Pai with disdain. Wei Zhizun's sudden appearance stunned the Xiao family brothers. They hadn't noticed Wei Zhizun before, nor did they think he was an expert. What the hell are you? Xiao Ji looked at Wei Zhizun and asked with disdain. A mystic. If you don't get lost, I'll send you to the Western Paradise. Wei Zhizun arrogantly looked at Xiao Ji and spoke with contempt. Ha! Pingzhan, I was wondering why you were so cocky. So you've got a new helper. Xiao Ji looked at Wei Zhizun and started laughing, but it's funny, how come I've never heard of a mystic before? Uncle Pai, have you? No, I've never heard of a mystic before. Uncle Pai said faintly. Ignorant child, how dare you make fun of me? Ah, I'll kill you. Wei Jizun was enraged at being ignored like this. Uncle Pai, shut him up. Xiao Ben looked at Wei Jizun and said to Uncle Pai. Yes, young master. Uncle Pai moved abruptly, reaching out to slap Wei Jizun. Wei Jizun was in the midst of his rage when his body was hit, and his voice stopped abruptly. In an instant, his eyes bulged out and he let out a blood-curdling scream. With a whoosh, he was sent flying and crashed heavily into the wall. He spat out a mouthful of blood and twitched twice on the ground. It was obvious that he had suffered serious internal injuries, just a mystic early-phase physical practitioner, and just broke through to mystic not too long ago. What a mystic supreme, what a frog in a well. Uncle Pai shook his head in disdain. I thought there was a new level of mystic. How lame, is this your helper? Which garbage station did you pick him out from? Mystic mid-phase. Wei Jizun looked at Uncle Pai in disbelief. He didn't expect Uncle Pai to be a mystic mid-phase, 2 whole levels higher than him. Wei Jizun didn't think that the other party would have a master, and he'd wanted to show off in front of Pingzhan, making him feel that the 500,000 he'd spent was worth it. He didn't think that he'd be killed in one move. In actuality, the 200,000 he'd promised wasn't all for the company, it was only a portion of it, and the majority of it was still for Wei Jizun. But raising the price was a common trick of these masters, and Wei Jizun had even thought of helping Pingzhan take care of these guys and then asking for a reward or something. But he was gravely mistaken. The other party's strength was far beyond what he'd imagined. Even if he hadn't been careless, he wouldn't have been a match for a mystic mid-phase physical practitioner, and now he'd been hit by a palm because of his carelessness. Wei Jizun felt as if his organs had been displaced. It was evident that he'd been crippled. Even if he'd recovered, his kung fu wouldn't be able to recover to his current level. This life was over for him. Wei Jizun felt sorrowful, he regretted taking this job. It was all his fault for being greedy and careless. However, who could they blame? Not only would he not get a single cent, but he'd also have to leave with his tail between his legs. Pingzhan, this is a warning for you. Xiao Ji was overjoyed as he watched Faubert injure Pingzhan's new master with just one palm. He pointed at Pingzhan and said arrogantly, I've already given you the terms, I hope you don't do anything stupid that will kill you. I'll give you 1 day to think about it, otherwise, you'll die a horrible death. Your daughter will be the same, and your entire house Chu will die a horrible death. Alright, bro, don't scare him, who's going to give us the money if he dies? Xiao Ben waved his hand kindly, let's go, let's let Mr. Chu think about it, I'm sure he's not an idiot. The Xiao brothers laughed heartily as they left Pingzhan's office with Uncle Pai, completely ignoring Pingzhan's dark expression. Chapter 924. Master Bing's heart. Wei Jizun was Pingzhan's only hope, but now that he was heavily injured, what else could he do? Pingzhan really didn't know what to do. He felt a deep sense of powerlessness, a sense of desperation. There was no way he could fight back against the Xiao family's naked threat. Pingzhan didn't doubt that the Xiao family would do something extreme if he didn't agree to their request. After all, the masters around them didn't leave any evidence behind, and even if they killed his daughter, Pingzhan wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Mr. Wei, are you alright? Do you need me to send you to the hospital? Pingzhan turned to Wei Jizun, hoping that this guy didn't die in his office. Pingzhan was a little annoyed. He'd been bragging about how strong he was, but it turned out that he was so weak. He'd contacted a top security company, and this Wei Jizun was the strongest of them all, but he couldn't even take one hit from the enemy. No need, I'll be leaving first. Wei Jizun didn't have the face to stay here any longer. He was heavily injured, but walking wasn't a problem. His face reddened as he quickly left Pingzhan's office, looking for a place to heal himself. Pingzhan sighed helplessly. Pingzhan was a man of his word in Pingzhan Industries, but there wasn't anyone around him he could talk to. Li Fu was heavily injured, and Lin Yi had lost his strengths. Pingzhan didn't want to tell Lin Yi about this, and Lin Yi would only worry if he did. There was nothing he could do about it. Pingzhan gritted his teeth. It seemed like he'd have to take responsibility for this. He felt like he was in trouble both internally and externally. The Shao family was simply too overbearing and arrogant. It was daylight robbery. But even so, Pingzhan didn't have a solution. Xiao Ji, Xiao Ben, and Uncle Pai left the Pingzhan skyscraper together, feeling very refreshed. Pingzhan really was as the rumors said, with the two masters by his side crippled. Why else would he have found this Wei Zhizuan instead? But this Zhizuan Wei was too useless, and Uncle Pai slapped him to the ground with a single palm. Brother, do you think Pingzhan will give in? Aren't our conditions a little too harsh? After Xiao Ji got in the car, he asked worriedly, didn't we agree at home that we only want 200 million? But we want Pingzhan Commercial Building and Pingzhan Business Hotel. Don't you think he'll do something desperate? Humph, isn't this the same as asking for a sky-high price and selling it on the spot? Xiao Ben smiled, we have to get those two industries. As for the 200 million, I'm guessing that Pingzhan won't be able to come up with that. It'd be good if he could get 50 million when the time comes, and that'll give him some room to bargain. But if he's stupid enough to give us money, we'll gladly accept it. Ha ha ha, you're really thoughtful, brother. That's right, we're the stronger party, and we're asking for a sky-high price. Pingzhan can bargain with us when the time comes, and if he doesn't, we'll be making a huge profit. Xiao Ji nodded happily after understanding Xiao Ben's intentions. Bro, since we've successfully coerced Pingzhan, you should at least tell Master Bin about this. After all, he's the one who provided us with the information. It wouldn't be good if we didn't report the results to him, would it? Xiao Ben suggested after Xiao Ji had calmed down. Of course, of course. Xiao Ji listened to Xiao Ben's suggestion and agreed, you're really thoughtful, brother. We can't afford to offend Master Bing. Our Xiao family needs to have a good relationship with Master Bing if we want to do business in Songshan in the future. With that, Xiao Ji quickly took out his phone and called Xiao Qibing. Qibing heard from Sihua's informant that the Xiao family brothers had gone to cause trouble for Pingzhan. He, too, was looking forward to the news from the Xiao family brothers. Qibing and Sihua were much more cautious this time. They'd sent someone to test Lin Yi's strength, confirming that his strength had dropped drastically, but with the precedent of Uncle Zhu's quick recovery, Qibing and Sihua were afraid that Lin Yi was pretending to be weak, waiting for the enemy to take the bait. So they didn't make a move on Pingzhan immediately after receiving the news. Instead, they sent the Xiao family to test the waters. Qibing quickly picked up the call when he saw the Xiao family call. Hello. I'm Qibing. Master Bing, I'm Xiao Ji. Xiao Ji was a generation older than Qibing, but because of Qibing's background, he had to be respectful in front of him. Oh, it's Uncle Xiao. What's up? Qibing pretended not to know. Ha, Master Bin, I'm calling to thank you. Thank you for the information you gave us. We went to cause trouble for Pingzhan. Xiao Ji smiled, now that we've succeeded, I'm calling to tell you the good news. Oh. You succeeded. Qibing's heart skipped a beat. Did that mean that Lin Yi was really done for? From the looks of it, he could also move a little. But on the surface, he didn't show it. Is that so? Didn't Pingzhan resist? Resist? How could he resist? How could he resist? That Li Fu and Lin Yi were both done for, but Pingzhan wasn't an idiot. He hired another mystic class master from some bodyguard company, thinking that he had something to rely on. He wanted to show off in front of us, but Uncle Pai crippled him with just one move. Pingzhan was scared out of his wits. Ha! Xiao Ji excitedly recounted the events that had transpired. Oh. He found another master. Qibing thought to himself. Luckily, he didn't act rashly. Pingzhan's master wasn't that good, and the Xiao family took advantage of him. Otherwise, the Xiao family would be in trouble. It seemed like his information network wasn't that smooth after all. Yeah, I don't know where all these masters came from. Golden class masters are rare enough in this world, and mystic class masters are only found in noble houses. I didn't think that Pingzhan would be able to hire a mystic class master as well. Speaking of this, Xiao Ji was a little worried. Master Bing, do you think he will hire more powerful helpers? Xiao Ji couldn't be blamed for worrying. He was from a noble house, but he wasn't from a martial arts house. He didn't know as much about masters as Qibing. Chapter 925. A piece of the pie, you don't have to worry about that. I don't think I need to tell you what the power behind me is, so I have a say in this matter. Qibing comforted him. Indeed, in the common world, golden class masters are rare existence, there might not even be a few in a city. Only the noble houses have mystic class masters. However, other than the noble houses, there are also mercenary organizations with masters in their hands. It's just that these people are only there for the sake of benefit, they wouldn't appear without benefits. It's like a mercenary organization. As far as I know, the mercenary organizations in the country are strictly supervised by the hidden noble houses. The strongest among them are only mystic early phase. Once they break through to the late phase or mid phase, they'll be recruited by the hidden noble houses. That way, they'll have the chance to break through to Earth class, who would stay in a mercenary organization. Oh, is that so? Then what if Pingzhan hired someone from abroad? Xiao Ji thought of the foreign mercenary organizations after hearing that there weren't any masters in the country. Do you think Pingzhan has that kind of ability? If he did, his company would have been one of the top 500 companies in the world long ago, not just in the country. Qibing said with disdain. Don't worry, if there were stronger masters he could hire, would he settle for the second best and hire a piece of trash for you to torture? That's true. Xiao Ji finally breathed out in relief and nodded. Thank you for your explanation, Master Bing. Now that you mention it, I'm tempted as well. I want to get some money too. Right, what did you guys extort from Pingzhan? Qibing asked. Xiao Ji panicked when he heard that Qibing wanted to get some money too. He hadn't even succeeded yet, and now Qibing wanted to get some money too. Wasn't that just asking for a share of the pie? But he didn't dare say anything to Qibing. He said gloomily, we asked him for Pingzhan Commercial Building and Pingzhan Business Hotel, and 200 million as startup capital. Oh, I see. Qibing was envious. It seemed like he should make his move as soon as possible, or else Pingzhan Industries would be taken away by others. When was he going to do it if not now? And so, Qibing wasn't in the mood to chat with Xiao Ji anymore. After a few words, he hung up. Xiao Ji was panicking as well. He hung up the call and started discussing with Xiao Ben. Brother, Xiao Qibing seems to be interested too. Do you think we'd be able to get so much money if he were to join in as well? This isn't beneficial to our Xiao family. Hee, big brother, you're worrying too much. Xiao Ben, on the other hand, waved his hand casually. The situation now is that the more enemies Pingzhan has, the better it'll be for us. It's best if there are a few more. Oh. Why is that? Xiao Ji's brain wasn't as good as Xiao Ben's, and he couldn't wrap his head around it. Think about it, so many enemies are going after Pingzhan. Pingzhan is the one who's at his wit's end. He has no other choice but to cut his own flesh. Even if he has the ability to get more helpers, can his helpers fight against so many people? Xiao Ben explained. Pingzhan might still think he's lucky if we're the only ones looking for trouble, thinking that he might be able to avoid it. I see. Xiaoji nodded. Brother, you're the smartest one of all. This way, our Xiao family will get less profit, but it'll be a lot more stable. That's right. So, we don't have to do anything right now. We'll just wait for Master Bing to do what he wants, and when Pingzhan is in trouble, we'll go after him. I don't believe he won't give in. Xiao Ben said. Qibing hung up and quickly called Sihua, Gubang, and Fabai over. He was going to make a move on Pingzhan Industries, and he had to do it as soon as possible. It'd be a huge loss if he didn't get there in time, and the profits would be taken away by others. Right now, Qibing had already treated Pingzhan's assets as his own, and he was afraid that someone else would take it from him. Old Jean, Old Zhong, you guys know Pingzhan Industries very well. What excuse do you think we should use to ask for money from Pingzhan? Qibing asked straightforwardly. These were his trusted subordinates, and he didn't need to hide anything. If Xiao family is using Xiao Ji's wife as an excuse to ask for money, then what about us? At Qibing's level, it was obvious that he was going to take things by force, but he still needed a reason to avoid being criticized. Naturally, Qibing had to find a suitable reason to make a move. Otherwise, wouldn't it be daylight robbery? That was something that Lin Yi would do. Qibing didn't have the guts to do that. Every level had its own rules, and no one would break them. Otherwise, it'd be a complete mess. But Lin Yi didn't belong to the upper class or even the noble houses, so he always did things according to his own rules. He didn't play by the rules at all, and this was why Zhao Qibing couldn't gain any advantage from him. Now that he finally had a chance to teach Pingzhan a lesson, how could he let it go? Pingzhan Industries' real estate company was something that Qibing had always wanted. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, the company would have been under his name by now. The few conflicts we had were all with Lin Yi, so it'd be a bit unreasonable to use Lin Yi as an excuse. Sihua said. Xiao family's reason is a bit ridiculous, but it's true that Meng Yao offended Xiao family's Go Huli. I know that. Why would I discuss this with you guys if I could just go ask for money? Qibing glared at Sihua and said impatiently, let's brainstorm, everyone. I'm afraid that more of Pingzhan's enemies will come after us if the news gets out. If we're late, we won't be able to get as much as we want. Master Bing, I have a good idea. Gubang said after some thought. But it's a bit like stealing. It's fine if it's in the dark, as long as it's not daylight robbery, we won't break the rules. Qibing said. We just need a reason. Pingzhan's probably in a mess right now, and we'll go scare him a little. There's no way he won't give in. Chapter 926. Chapter 925, House UO. You're saying that we should forge a transfer agreement and have Pingzhan transfer the company to us, then force him to pay up. Qibing's eyes lit up. Yes, even if he knows that it's fake, he wouldn't dare offend us under such circumstances. We can threaten him that we'll kill his daughter if he dares to make a big deal out of this. I'm sure he won't resist. Gubang nodded fiercely. He hated Pingzhan to the core, and now that there was a chance for revenge, he jumped out without hesitation. What do you guys think? Qibing nodded as he looked at Sihua and Fabai. Master Bing, that's a good idea. We'll have Yawang come along and scare Pingzhan. I don't think he'll go back on his word. Sihua nodded. All right, it's decided then. Qibing laughed and sent Gubang off to forge the documents. Yanjing, House Yu's house. Yu Shuixing and Yu Bide sat side by side, while Yu Feng sat beside them. Yu Kun had woken up by now, and while he was grieving, he told Shuixing and Bide about how he got injured. Although it was Yu Kun's fault for causing trouble for Lin Yi without a thorough investigation, House Yu wouldn't admit to it even if they felt that they were in the wrong. They blamed everything on Lin Yi. Second brother, you have to help Kun. Now that we know that it was Lin Yi who did this, we'll be looked down upon by the other houses if we don't do anything. Bai's heart was filled with hatred. Lin Yi had destroyed his son, destroyed his hope. Bai's strength was basically stuck at his current level for the rest of his life, and he had placed all his hopes on his son. He didn't think that his son would become a cripple. How could he take this lying down? According to what Kun said, that Lin Yi is only a mystic early phase, killing him would be a piece of cake. Shueishing said. But what background does this Lin Yi have? He's already at the early phase of the mystic class at such a young age, that's rare even among the children of noble houses. Don't tell me he came out from some hidden house to train. Oh. Yu Bai listened to Yu Shueishing's analysis and was shocked. Before, he was only thinking about revenge and forgot about Lin Yi's background. Now that Yu Shueishing reminded him, he was worried. If Lin Yi really was from a hidden house, then House Yu would be stirring up a hornet's nest if they went after him. But little Kun's revenge. Yu Bai sighed sadly. Lin Yi's background is just a guess. It hasn't been confirmed yet, so we can be patient. Shueishing said. Let's stick to our original plan and send Lin Feng to investigate Lin Yi's background. It's not too late to make a decision after we see what his background is. That's the only way. Yu Bai nodded unwillingly. If we can't touch Lin Yi, why don't we touch that Pingzhan? If it weren't for his daughter Meng Yao asking Lin Yi to kill Kun wouldn't have ended up like this. They couldn't touch Lin Yi for now, but Yu Bai still had some anger he hadn't vented yet. So, he shifted his hatred to Pengzhan and that little bitch Meng Yao. As far as he was concerned, Lin Yi was the murderer, but Meng Yao was the mastermind. He couldn't let her go. According to the current situation, Lin Yi is Pengzhan's bodyguard. He's in charge of protecting them. If we touch Pengzhan or Meng Yao, Lin Yi will definitely stand up and help them. We'll become enemies with Lin Yi, and that's not in line with our plan. Shueishing hesitated and shook his head. Before we figure out Lin Yi's background, we shouldn't make enemies with him. If we touch Pengzhan and Lin Yi really jumps out, House Yu's position will be in an awkward position. We'll be stuck in a dilemma. If we take a step forward, we'll lose House Yu's benefits, but if we take a step back, it'll be embarrassing. That's true. Man, I didn't think that it'd be so troublesome to touch a little Lin Yi. Yu Bai sighed. As they were talking, Yu Feng's phone rang. He glanced at the number and picked it up. Yu Shueishing and Yu Bai usually didn't pick up their phones during a meeting. They rarely brought their phones with them, so someone would call Yu Feng if there was an emergency. For Yu Feng to pick up the phone in the middle of a meeting, it must be someone from within House Yu. Hello. Haitian bro, what's up? Father and third uncle are in a meeting. Yu Feng said. He wouldn't have picked up the call if it wasn't from Yu Haitian, but Yu Haitian was in charge of House Yu's external business and information system. He must have something to say to Yu Feng at this time. It's like this, there's news from Songshan. Pingzhan's bodyguard, Li Fu, has been heavily injured, and we don't know if he's dead or alive. On the other hand, Lin Yi has lost all his strength, and Xiao family has gone to find trouble with Pingzhan. Zhao Qibing seems to be making a move as well. Haitian said. He was told to keep an eye on Lin Yi and related people in Songshan. Oh. What happened? Yu Feng paused after hearing Haitian's words. Did something big happen in Songshan? This is what happened. Yu Haitian told Yu Feng the details of how Zhening Jun kidnapped Meng Yao. I understand, I'll report it to father and third uncle right now. Yu Feng was overjoyed when he heard the news. This news solved all of House Yu's worries and worries. Yu Feng did not dare to waste any time. He immediately told his father and third uncle everything that Yu Haitian had said. This is a godsend. Shueisheng's eyes brightened as he tapped on the tea table in front of him, thinking of a plan. Yeah, Lin Yi's kung fu is crippled now, it's the best time to deal with him. Yu Feng nodded excitedly, now that I'm there, I can kill Lin Yi without any pressure. Childish. Shueisheng glared at his son, although Lin Yi's kung fu is crippled, we still don't know if Lin Yi has any background. How can we act rashly? Chapter 927. Step by step, sometimes, some things have bottoms, if you don't touch that bottom line, you won't see the results. Shueisheng looked at his son, his tone serious. If Lin Yi is from a hidden house, then he's in the common world for training. Otherwise, do you think it's possible for an early-phase mystic to be a follower of a rich merchant? If it were a 40 or 50-year-old man with no potential to break through, or a physical practitioner who's trained to the limit, it'd be possible for him to become a bodyguard for rich people. He's not even 20 yet, his future is limitless. Becoming a bodyguard. Do you believe me? Yeah, I wouldn't become a bodyguard no matter how much money you give me, unless it's training. Yu Feng nodded after hearing his father's words, sighing. I still don't have enough experience, I don't understand this logic. But your third uncle and I, at our age, if we don't have any hope of breaking through, we might become bodyguards for some rich people when House Yu is in dire straits. Even so, we wouldn't let you be a bodyguard no matter what, because you're the hope of House Yu's future. Shueisheng said. So, Lin Yi's predicament right now might be a test and trial from the power behind him. As the saying goes, when the heavens are about to bestow a great responsibility upon a man, they must first torture his will, tire his bones, starve his skin, empty his body, and mess up his actions. That's why we have to be patient and do what we can't do. This is also a form of training and training. Then father, what do you mean by a heaven-sent opportunity? Yu Feng was a little puzzled if his father didn't approve of making a move against Lin Yi. Then why did he say that it was a heaven-sent opportunity? We can't touch Lin Yi, but we can touch Pingzhan. Shueisheng smiled. Oh. Brother, didn't you say that if we touch Pingzhan, we'll become enemies with Lin Yi? Yu Bide was taken aback and couldn't help but ask. That's before Lin Yi's arts were crippled. If we touch Pingzhan, Lin Yi would definitely jump out. Shueisheng said. But now, what's the point of jumping out when he's lost all his arts? That's true. But what if the power behind Lin Yi can't take it anymore and appears? Yu Bide asked. It doesn't matter if he shows up. We can find out more about Lin Yi. I was afraid that he wouldn't show up. Shueisheng smiled, but even if the power behind Lin Yi were to help, they wouldn't be able to do anything to us. We need a reason for everything, and we're after Pingzhan, not Lin Yi. Since they're here, we'll just give them face and let them go. They won't have to take their anger out on House Yu. Besides, House Yu's background isn't something to be messed with. Brilliant. Truly brilliant. Yu Bide couldn't help but praise after hearing Shueisheng's words. This way, no matter what the result is, House Yu won't be at a disadvantage. If the power behind Lin Yi doesn't show up, we can use this chance to punish House Chu and get some benefits out of them. It wouldn't be a wasted trip. On the other hand, if the power behind Lin Yi shows up, we'll be able to find out more about Lin Yi's background. That's right, that's what I mean. Shueisheng said. Next, we just need to think about what we should propose to Pingzhan. House Jun's asking for too much already. If we, House Yu, don't ask for too much, we'd be wasting this opportunity. Father, I suggest that Pingzhan give up his shares to us, and send his daughter over to serve my cousin Yu Kuan. Yu Feng suggested. Leave this to me. Your suggestion isn't bad, but it's best if you don't show yourself yet. You're our trump card, and we need you to deal with Lin Yi. Shueisheng said. I'll leave this to you, Bide. Go with Yu Haitian and tell Pingzhan our intentions. Yes, second brother. Yu Bide nodded. He was filled with hatred towards Pingzhan, and this time, he had to teach them a lesson. Songshan, Pingzhan's office. 2 more uninvited guests. These 2 were Yaowang and Sihua. Pingzhan's anger reached its peak as he looked at the agreement the 2 showed him. House Xiao had just left, and Zhao Qibing's men were already here. One wave after another, one wave after another. Looking at his signature on the agreement, Pingzhan felt a deep sense of helplessness. The signature was his, yes, but this agreement was definitely not signed by him. But it didn't matter anymore. Sihua was obviously here to take it by force. Pingzhan didn't believe that this was a coincidence. The Xiao family had just left, and now Zhao Qibing's men were here. This had been planned for a long time. Mr. Chu, you can't go back on the agreement you signed, can you? Sihua said faintly. When are you going to hand over the real estate company to us? It's written in the agreement that the properties you've developed before, as well as the rest, will be handed over to us. I didn't sign the agreement, you guys know very well. Pingzhan's face was dark. We all know why you're here. You've been plotting against my real estate company, and now you're here to rob me. You sure have a big appetite. Haha, you're wrong, Mr. Chu. I just want to take back what belongs to us. Sihua said faintly. Mr. Chu, don't do anything irrational. Aren't you worried that you'll push me too far by doing this? Pingzhan's anger had reached a certain level. He didn't expect these people to jump out so quickly after Lin Yi and Faubert fell. Push you too far. How did we push you? Sihua grinned leisurely. If you're unhappy, you can call the police. Right, Yaowang? Yes, but you have to be careful in the future, Mr. Chu. I didn't manage to poison your daughter last time, but I might not be able to do it next time. Yaowang said faintly. Lin Yi without qi, let's see how he'll be able to save her. It's you. Pingzhan's face froze as he looked at Yaowang angrily. But Yaowang didn't seem to care about Pingzhan at all. Chapter 928. Chapter 927, Warning. Right, I forgot to tell you, other than being an expert in poisoning, I'm also a mystic class spiritual practitioner. Yaowang said faintly as he looked at Pingzhan, his tone filled with warning. Give me an answer in 2 days. Sihua and Yaowang stood up and walked out of the office, as if they had Pingzhan in their grasp. In fact, Sihua did indeed have Pingzhan in his grasp. From Pingzhan's attitude today, it was clear that he didn't dare say anything. This was completely different from the past. Last time, he came to Pingzhan's office after Lin Yi was injured, but Pingzhan was incomparably calm, sending him away with a few words. Although Lin Yi was injured, his strength was still there, so Pingzhan had something to rely on. But this time was different. Without Lin Yi's help, Pingzhan had become a fat sheep waiting to be slaughtered. Pingzhan sighed dejectedly as he watched the 2 leave. He was so useless, unable to fight back at all against the threats of these forces. Facing enemies that couldn't be dealt with using normal methods, Pingzhan felt a deep sense of helplessness. Of course, he knew that he was unlucky. There were so many billionaires out there, and none of them were targeted by these noble houses, but he had to be the one. Pingzhan finally understood that he was just a businessman. It was impossible for him to go against these powerful noble houses. Without a powerful trump card, he wouldn't be able to go against them. It seemed that he wasn't a qualified businessman yet. As a businessman, he had to know when to give and when to give and when to give and when to give and when to others. Pingzhan had taken over Pingzhan Industries from his father's hands, and it had been a smooth sailing without much trouble. Until Jean Gubang wanted to take over the company, and Pingzhan had gone down the wrong path. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, Pingzhan's best option would have been to compromise with Zihua and split the real estate company, selling it to Zhao Qibing at a low price to protect his own company. Sometimes, compromising was necessary when doing business. If you didn't know when to give and when to offend people you shouldn't have offended, you'd be doomed. But Pengzhan had chosen to let Lin Yi join him forcefully, and this was the beginning of the clash with Zhao Qibing. If Lin Yi could stay by Pengzhan's side, naturally, he would be able to protect Pingzhan Industries, but if something were to happen to Lin Yi, it would attract Qibing's retaliation. Pingzhan finally understood this reason. He seemed to be very strong before, but it wasn't wise at all. At Xuemin's house, Lin Yi couldn't help but shake his head after ending the call with Pingzhan. House Xiao's sudden appearance had caught him off guard, but there was nothing he could do about it. No matter what, he was still employed by Pingzhan before he left, and he could only place his hopes on the new master Pingzhan had hired. "Boss, what's wrong? Did you run into some trouble?" Fatty Lai saw Lin Yi frowning, as if he had run into some kind of trouble. "It's nothing." Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He couldn't even protect himself now, what else could he do? Phew. Lin Yi took a deep breath. Today, everything his enemies had done to him, he'd return it back double in the future. "Grandpa Guan, Fatty Lai, I'm leaving. This time, I'm here to say goodbye." Lin Yi suppressed the thoughts of revenge in his heart and said calmly to the two before turning to Kong Xiaobo, "I'll leave Xiaobo in your care from now on." "Aw. Boss, you're leaving. Why are you leaving?" Fatty Lai jumped up from the sofa. He thought that Lin Yi had called him over to discuss the new product launch next month, but he didn't expect Lin Yi to say goodbye. "Yeah, I'm injured, and I've lost all my strength. There are a lot of enemies here." Lin Yi briefly explained his situation to Guan Xuemin, Fatty Lai, and Kong Xiaobo. Guan Axian, on the other hand, was making tea for them. She just walked in with a tray when Lin Yi announced that he was leaving. She froze, dropping the tray in her hands onto the floor, shattering the teacups and spilling the tea all over the floor. "Aw. I'm sorry." Guan Axian realized that she'd lost her composure, and quickly bent down to pick up the broken pieces. She was extremely disappointed. Was Lin Yi leaving? Why was he leaving so soon? Between them, it hadn't even started, and it was already over. Guan Axian's mind was a complete blank, her heart a mess. Her tender hand was cut by the teacup shards on the ground, fresh blood gushing out. The pain brought Guan Axian back to her senses. Axian, are you okay? Why were you so careless?" Guan Xuemin saw that his granddaughter's hand was bleeding, and he asked nervously. "It's nothing, just a flesh wound. I accidentally touched the broken pieces," Guan Axian said, a little embarrassed. She bandaged other people's wounds every day, so she wasn't afraid of blood. She didn't mind that she was bleeding, and she just wanted to bandage it herself. "Fatty Lai, give her a bottle of injury medicine. I saw that you brought a lot of samples today," Lin Yi said to Fatty Lai. "Yes, boss." Fatty Lai's face was full of sorrow at the thought of Lin Yi leaving, but the more he thought about it, the sadder he felt. Finally, he couldn't hold back his tears, and he started to cry. "Huh. Fatty Lai, you." Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Fatty Lai's reaction. "Guan Axian's hand is cut, why are you crying?" "I'm sad, boss." "Are you really leaving?" Fatty Lai wiped his tears as he went to get the injury medicine for Guan Axian. He still had to listen to Lin Yi, and even if he was sad, he still had to get the medicine first. Fatty Lai thought that Lin Yi wanted to talk to him about the product launch next month, so he brought some samples of the injury medicine. Now it was time to put them to good use. It's not like I won't come. I'm just going there to seek refuge, and I'll come back when I recover. Lin Yi said. It won't affect your medical company. Chapter 929. Chapter 928. Guan Shuamin's suggestion. Kong Xiaobo was the first to know that Lin Yi was leaving. He had heard the news from Tang Yun. Tang Yun was the one who told Lu Xinwen and Xiaofan that she was going back to his hometown with Lin Yi. Naturally, Kong Xiaobo knew that Lin Yi was leaving. Although he appeared calm and resolute, he felt exceptionally sad in his heart. He hadn't known Lin Yi for long, but Lin Yi treated him as a brother and a friend. And Kong Xiaobo also treated Lin Yi as his boss. The changes that Lin Yi brought to him were too big. In just a month, he not only gained confidence, but he also had his own career. This was unimaginable in the past. However, no matter how much he didn't want to leave Lin Yi, he couldn't persuade him to stay. Tang Yun had tried to persuade him to stay, but in the end, she still left with Lin Yi. Kong Xiaobo even had the urge to bring Xiaofan to follow Lin Yi, but he suppressed the thought rationally. It wasn't loyalty, it was nonsense. Lin Yi was going back to seek refuge and recover his strength. What was he going to do? He might as well stay here and work hard to manage the company for Lin Yi. This was what he should be doing, and it was what Lin Yi was happy to see. Alright, stop crying. Lin Yi knew that Fatty Lai was a crybaby. It wasn't strange for him to wipe his tears at the drop of a hat. Guan Shuamin, who had been silent all this time, suddenly opened his mouth. Actually, if you don't want to leave, I have an idea. Don't want to leave? What idea? Lin Yi was startled as he looked at Guan Shuamin. What do you think of Xin? Guan Shuamin pondered for a while and suddenly asked. Quack. Lin Yi's eyes went wide at the words. Lin Yi had been hesitant when Ping Zhan told him this, but now that Shuamin was saying the same thing, how could Lin Yi not know what he was getting at? Was Guan Shuamin looking for a grandson-in-law as well? Sweat, it seems like I'm very popular. Grandpa Guan, why are you asking this all of a sudden? But Lin Yi pretended like he didn't understand. Guan Xian's pretty, she's a good cook. Guan Xian, who was applying medicine to herself, tensed up when she heard her grandpa's words. How could she not know what her grandpa was thinking? Her grandfather wanted to betroth her to Lin Yi. Guan Xian was well aware of that. It was just that Lin Yi already had a girlfriend, so Guan Xian wasn't too clear about it. Hearing her grandpa talk to Lin Yi in such a serious manner today, Guan Xian's heart skipped a beat. Guan Xian didn't have high hopes, but she felt that quietly liking someone was also a very happy thing. She didn't have to go for it, as long as she could be by his side and watch him, but even so, Guan Xian really wanted to know what Lin Yi's attitude towards her was. And so, Guan Xian pretended to apply medicine, but her ears perked up as she listened to Lin Yi's answer. When she heard Lin Yi's evaluation of her, her heart felt as sweet as honey. Wasn't Lin Yi talking about the best candidate for a good wife and mother? Guan Xian's breathing quickened, and her face reddened. Did he like her? If that's the case, then how about I betroth her to you? Guan Shuamin laughed. If you become my grandson-in-law, then you'll be my disciple in medicine. Although you don't need me to teach you, with my name, your enemies won't bother you anymore. I'm just a scholar, but the noble houses and some of the nobles in Yanjing will still give me some face. With me here, no one will dare to touch you. Guan Shuamin wasn't boasting. Lin Yi naturally knew that if he agreed, Zhao Qibing wouldn't dare to openly make an enemy out of Guan Shuamin, no matter how angry he would be. After all, Guan Shuamin had the support of many noble houses and nobles. Guan Shuamin was a famous medical expert in the country, and many people had been treated by him. It could be said that Guan Shuamin's network was very wide. Lin Yi didn't know how to answer at that moment. After all, Guan Axayan was sitting right next to him. If Lin Yi rejected directly, it would definitely hurt Guan Axayan's feelings, and that wasn't something Lin Yi wanted to see. However, Lin Yi had a good impression of Guan Axayan, but it wasn't to the point where he wanted to protect her in the Guan house. I'll go make some tea, you guys talk. Guan Axayan didn't think that her grandfather would say it out so directly, and in front of her at that. How could she say it out loud? And so, Guan Axayan subconsciously wanted to hide. She found an excuse, stood up, and stumbled to the kitchen. Lin Yi was about to tactfully answer Guan Shuamin's suggestion when the door of the villa opened. Guan Xiaoxiang walked in with a dark face, and said unhappily, "Dad, what are you thinking? How can you just marry Axayan to someone? And in a dangerous situation. Plus, Axayan is already married to someone else. Even if you want to break off the engagement, you should talk to the person first. Why are you acting on your own now?" Guan Xiaoxiang had been hiding in front of the villa for a long time, and when he heard that his father was going to marry his daughter to this young man named Lin Yi, he couldn't take it anymore. He pushed the door open and rushed in. Not to mention that Guan Xiaoxiang didn't have a good impression of Lin Yi to begin with, and now that Lin Yi had gotten himself into trouble outside and wanted to use this method to escape, how could he agree to it? What if Guan Axayan was in danger? "Guan Xiaoxiang, do you have any manners? Can't you see I'm in the middle of a discussion? Get out, get out." Guan Shuamin didn't expect his son to barge in at this time and say such things that he couldn't get out of the situation. Guan Shuamin's temper flared up. He usually didn't get angry, but now he was angry. He pointed at Guan Xiaoxiang and wanted to kick him out. "I can leave. But I'm afraid that you'll be tricked." "It's fine if your reputation is tricked, but I don't want my daughter to be dragged into this." Guan Xiaoxiang humphed and pulled Guan Axayan out. Guan Axayan didn't know what to do. She didn't think that her father and grandfather would clash so fiercely. She didn't know what to say. "Grandpa Guan, I'll be leaving first. Anyway, I'll leave the medical company to you and Fatty Lai." Lin Yi shrugged self-deprecatingly as he stood up. He didn't need to say anything else under these circumstances, and there was no way he could get involved in Shuamin's family conflict. He might as well take his leave. Chapter 930. Another uninvited guest. Fu. Lin Yi breathed out in relief after exiting Shuamin's villa. Guan Xiaoxiang's sudden intrusion had solved a problem for Lin Yi. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't know how to answer him. Although Lin Yi was reluctant to part with Guan Axayan, this girl had left a deep impression in Lin Yi's heart. Lin Yi couldn't stay. He had to find a way to recover his strength. Shuamin's words were right. He may have lost his strength, but he still had his medical skills. It was possible for him to gain some status, but he still believed that medical skills were only a support. Only strength was the capital. What Ping Zhan didn't expect was that two uninvited guests came to the company that evening just as he was about to get off work. Most of the employees had left after work, but Ping Zhan didn't leave. He gritted his teeth and made a difficult decision. He would satisfy the Xiao family's and Zhao Qibing's requests. He couldn't satisfy the Xiao family's requests completely, but he could give them the Ping Zhan Business Building and Ping Zhan Business Hotel. As for the 200 million, Ping Zhan wasn't prepared to give it to them. He was a smart businessman, and from the Xiao family's tone, he could tell that the 200 million was negotiable. Zhao Qibing, on the other hand, couldn't bargain with him. He asked for a branch company, and it was one of the most valuable branch companies. The real estate company itself wasn't worth much, but the few pieces of land in the company's hands were priceless. There was no lack of luxurious villas in the last piece of land, and one of them was worth tens of millions. But Pingzhan knew that this was what they wanted, and he had to give it to them. Pingzhan's only hope was that after he satisfied the Xiao family and Zhao Qibing, the Xiao family and Zhao Qibing wouldn't bother him anymore. Pingzhan Industries didn't have much assets left, but it was enough to maintain its operations. But just as Pingzhan made the decision, the door to his office was pushed open. Pingzhan was already used to people barging in today, from Wei Zhizhuan to the Xiao family, to Zihua and Yao Wang, and now two more. Yu Haitian. Pingzhan recognized one of them, Yu Haitian. He knew that he was the person in charge of House Yu's business in Yanjing, but he didn't know the middle-aged man beside him. Not bad, Chairman Chu. You actually recognize me. Yu Haitian laughed, but his expression was one of arrogance. He may be a businessman, but managing the business for House Yu was something Pingzhan couldn't compare to. Pingzhan's face darkened. Those who came didn't have good intentions, and now that House Yu suddenly barged in, Pingzhan had a bad feeling. Could it be that they were here for trouble as well? Pingzhan couldn't be blamed for guessing this way. After all, there were two groups of people here today, and back in the villa, Lin Yi had clashed with House Yu's Yu Kuan because of General Wei Wu, even injuring him. House Yu's purpose for coming here was self-evident. I didn't know that Mr. Yu was here. Pingzhan didn't finish before the middle-aged man beside Yu Haitian interrupted him. You're Pingzhan. How dare you? You gave birth to a lowly daughter who actually let someone injure my son. Yu Bide was here for trouble, and with the pain he felt for his son, he couldn't take it anymore. He exploded the moment he saw Pingzhan. If it weren't for House Yu's benefit, Yu Bide would have slapped Pingzhan to death, and then go after his daughter and Lin Yi. Pingzhan's heart tightened. As expected, they were here for trouble, and it was for that matter. That's right, I'm Pingzhan. I wonder if Mr. Yu has anything to teach me. Pingzhan smiled bitterly, knowing that he couldn't escape today. Teach me. Humph. My son is crippled now, a cripple who can't even get up from his bed. What do you think I have to teach you? Yu Bide raged, even if I kill your entire family, it won't be enough to appease the anger in my heart. Third uncle, please calm down. We're honest businessmen, we can't kill each other. Yu Haitian smiled, plus, we're here to talk about compensation, Mr. Pingzhan. Of course, if you can't compensate us, we can still kill their entire family. Anger. Pingzhan was shaking with anger. Yu Haitian's words sounded nice, but it was full of threats. If he couldn't compensate them, he would kill his entire family. Wasn't this too much? However, facing the head of the 4 big and 5 small houses, House Yu, Pingzhan didn't have any temper at all. Pingzhan didn't doubt that House Yu's words were just to scare him. If House Yu killed him, it would be as easy as stepping on an ant. At most, if they investigated, there would be countless people who would take the blame. Yu Kuan was the one who trespassed, yet he blamed it on Pingzhan when he got injured. Pingzhan felt wronged. But, you can't reason with House Yu. With House Yu's current attitude, it was obvious that they were here to cause trouble. You tried to reason with them, but they acted like gangsters, and you didn't have any temper at all. That's true. Yu Bide nodded. Haitian, you should speak. Tell him our conditions. If he doesn't agree, I'll kill his entire family. Mr. Pingzhan, my third uncle has a short temper, and Kuan is his only son, so please don't mind him. Haitian smiled. As long as you fulfill House Yu's conditions, he won't kill your entire family. Pingzhan's face turned purple. He had never felt so wrong before, and he couldn't fight back at all. No matter what Haitian said, he couldn't do anything because they weren't on equal footing. He was the one being bullied. What conditions? Pingzhan took a deep breath and asked. From the Xiao family, to Zhao Qibing, to House Yu, all of them were powerful existences, and none of them were people Pingzhan could mess with. Pingzhan didn't know if there would be more powerful people coming after him, but he couldn't deal with these people anymore. Let your daughter marry cousin Yukuan as a concubine, and your Pingzhan industries will be given to House Yu as a dowry. Yu Haitian stated House Yu's conditions word by word. What? Pingzhan was shocked, and his face changed. House Yu's conditions exceeded the Xiao family and Zhao Qibing's. It was unbelievable. House Yu, you've gone too far. How could Pingzhan agree to such conditions? Chapter 931. That's bullying you. Mr. Yu, don't you think that this condition is a bit too much? Pingzhan asked in a low voice. Too much. In our dictionary, we've never heard of the word too much. Yu Bide laughed and slammed his palm on the stone tea table in front of him. Immediately, the hard natural stone shattered into pieces, and shards flew everywhere. Some of the shards flew directly onto Pingzhan's face, scratching his skin. Pingzhan stood there, his expression indescribably sad. House Chu's crisis had come, but he didn't have a plan to deal with it. The second condition, I can agree to it. I'll transfer all the shares to you, but the first condition. Yao Yao can't marry into your House Yu. Pingzhan hesitated and finally made this decision. He could lose the company, but he couldn't lose Yao Yao. Marry into House Yu as a concubine. Yao Yao would suffer a lot in the future. How could he ruin her happiness? Besides, it was her choice who she married, why would he interfere? House Yu's words are like spilled water, how can we take them back? Haitian said coldly, Pingzhan, you need to understand that we're not bargaining with you. We're giving you a choice. Either your whole family dies, or you marry your daughter and pay the price. Make your choice. Don't go too far. Pingzhan gritted his teeth, his eyes shooting out flames of anger. He clenched his fists tightly, his body shaking uncontrollably. What do you mean by going too far? Yu Bide smiled, so what if we're bullying you? You can do whatever you want. You can find people, helpers, but let's see, who dares to cause trouble for House Yu? Don't forget the identity behind House Yu. The rules of the common world don't work on hidden houses. Yu Bide's words hinted that if Pingzhan had any help, he should bring it out as soon as possible, stop hiding it. He wanted to lure out the power behind Lin Yi. Of course, if Lin Yi didn't come out to help, it meant that Lin Yi didn't have any power behind him, and House Yu would be able to do whatever they wanted. You guys. Pingzhan felt a sharp pain in his chest. He held his chest as he breathed heavily. He didn't think that House Yu wouldn't even talk about conditions, asking for everything. One had to know that Pingzhan had already compromised, but they were still pushing. By the way, isn't your daughter's bodyguard very powerful? It's fine if she doesn't want to marry, as long as she shows some of her strength, I'll let her go. Yu Bide was afraid that Pingzhan wouldn't remember the strength behind Lin Yi, so he reminded him. Pingzhan was speechless. He didn't understand what Yu Bide meant. He thought that Yu Bide knew that Lin Yi had lost all his strength and was purposely making sarcastic remarks. Otherwise, if Lin Yi hadn't lost his strength, how would they have dared to come to him together? Think about it yourself. Give us an answer in 2 days. You only have 2 days. With that, Yu Bide left Pingzhan's office with Yu Haitian. Pingzhan sat on the floor helplessly as he watched the two leave. He didn't know what to do, how to do it. House Chu was already in trouble, but who could he blame? Pingzhan couldn't do anything even if he regretted it. If it weren't for his benevolence back then, causing Gubang to have thoughts of betrayal and join forces with Qibing, this wouldn't have happened today. The greed of humans was limitless, especially for people like Jin Gubang and Zhao Qibing. As long as their greed grew, it would grow endlessly. Although they gave up temporarily because of Lin Yi's appearance, once Lin Yi lost his strength, these greedy people would come to him again. And now, not only was he in bigger trouble, but he also made some enemies for Lin Yi. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't have to go back to his hometown to hide. Although it wasn't entirely because of him that Lin Yi became enemies with these people, if it wasn't because of him, Lin Yi wouldn't even be able to get in touch with these people, let alone become enemies with them. These 2 days, Jiang Wen felt that his kidney was in pain, and he often peed blood. So he went to the hospital for a checkup, and the results shocked him. "Young man, where did you get this kidney? It's rejecting it, and from the indicators, it doesn't match at all. We need to remove it as soon as possible," the doctor said to Jiang Wen with the report. "Wah!" Jiang Wen froze. "That's impossible, this kidney is mine, I didn't get it changed. How can it reject it?" "Your own." "That can't be right, there are obvious signs of a kidney transplant on your body. Plus, this kidney looks a little different from your other kidney." The doctor couldn't confirm that it was a dog kidney from the X-ray, but he felt that it was different from Jiang Wen's other kidney. After all, people's kidneys were different, and they weren't exactly the same. There were some who looked abnormal. That. Jiang Wen didn't know how to explain the reason behind it. It'd be troublesome if the doctor got suspicious and called the police. "Young man, your kidney really doesn't match, and there are signs of rejection. If this goes on, you won't even be able to keep your life. It's better to remove it as soon as possible," the doctor said seriously. "All right, I'll think about it." Jiang Wen frowned. It wasn't easy for him to get his kidney back. How could he remove it now? Wouldn't that be a waste? The first thing Jiang Wen did when he got out of the hospital was to call Pingliang. Zhong Pingliang was celebrating with Xiaofu at home. He made a shushing gesture to Xiaofu when he saw Jiang Wen's call and picked up. "Hello? Wen bro, what's up?" "Pingliang bro, it's big." Jiang Wen said hurriedly, "The kidney I got doesn't match." "Doesn't match? How is that possible? Isn't that your original kidney?" Zhong Pingliang pretended to be surprised, but he was laughing coldly in his heart. It'd be weird if it did match. Unless you were a dog, how could you possibly match a dog's kidney? "Yeah, I don't know either. But I just went to the hospital for a checkup, and it really doesn't match," Jiang Wen said, "plus, the doctor wants me to remove it." You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.